This is one where we all go like that bottom area, and I hold the window.
We're all main gate, and then
Yeah.
and you need to scan every one of these rooms, Dross, and then scan this one as well.
Yeah,
Alright.
I got it.
There's a shield behind this, which is even better for us. BTK, you're holding this whole hallway from like one of these corners.
The guard dog gameplay.
BTK, careful the lurk on this as well.
Side flank, but BTK Master is waiting for it. He keeps looking over in that direction, but hadn't spotted him.
And then me, Gunner, and Drass, we are making our way to this room. We have to cross in the open of this, but Suppress should be holding it.
I'm about to start scanning left side. Are we good?
You guys ready?
I'm nading this room.
I'm ready.
Careful, don't go in there. I don't see anything in there. I'm holding.
And then we have to clear this whole hallway. There's nothing really to play behind. If there's a guy with a shield, we need to use util, because like we can't just run it in or we'll die. Get a smoke on the crypt. Even if you go down, just plant the decryptor.
It's barricaded.
Yeah, that's even better. That's even better. Break this.
I'm nading.
Are you ready to nade this?
Yeah.
Yeah, break.
Got one.
Good.
Nice.
I'm in.
I need a baddie.
Left is clear. Left is clear.
What's in there? My ping.
Blue zone nade's gonna come out, but we haven't seen Gunner be able to get in and get into a plant just quite yet.
You can't see from that angle. Come to me. Come to me.
Got bombs going down.
You have a Maddie, bro?
Yeah, here.
Just play time if you can.
A lot of work there.
We're good, bro. We're good.
Even though Venerated's the one that's going to come up with kills.
Nice.
We got it. We got it. Bro. We're good. We're good.
Mine is low.
On me right. Come here. How are you losing that? Jesus, that's sad. Get a fucking trip. You need to go get a job, Venerate. You're holding it.
Oh my god.
Welcome back, everyone. It's PUBG Blind Spot time. Myself and Felix are joined. We're going to be kicking things back as we have the EMEA invitation. Felix, welcome back in. Obviously, PUBG Blind Spots is back in full force. I'm excited for this one. I've looked at the lineup. We'll come to it. But first and foremost, how have you been, kind sir?
Thank you so much, Mark. Yes, well, exciting times. I've played a bit of Blind Spot in the meanwhile, and honestly, looking at the teams that we have today, I thought I was pretty good until I looked at some of these guys, and we saw them play in a couple of tournaments a couple of weeks ago, actually, in one of the tournaments as well. And all I can say for this one today is that I think there's going to be so much new stuff to learn. I think for me and you both, Mark.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, the game has moved on. For those that didn't miss it, about 3 months ago, we've got the opportunity to cast. We got some outstanding plays. We invited loads of pro players, and it was complete madness. It was quick learning, quick changes. These teams kind of evolved, should we say. Now, it's been a bit of time, Felix, and now with a bit more time, we have to introduce some more people because we just can't do this by ourselves anymore. Let's bring ourselves into the casters because we have two amazing people to join us. It's going to be Gibson Cast and Whip It. Welcome in, guys, and welcome to PUBG Blind Spots. How are you guys doing today? Gibson, I know you've had a quick look at this game, mate. Are you excited to be kicking things off this evening?
You know what? I'm looking forward to it, right? It's the second ever tournament for this game, the first one under the actual official name of PUBG Blind Spot. And it's nice to welcome in my regular duo from other titles, Whip It, into the PUBG universe as well. So I think Whip It's the one you should really be asking about whether or not he's excited.
Oh, I am excited for this one. Listen, I took a look at this game when you Gibson reached out to me a little mention, and this has my interest sky high going into. I cannot wait to see how these teams line up and get to watch some action. This one, I am so excited for this title and today's stream.
Well, this is a very unique game, as Whip It does say, because there is a very different. It's a top-down approach to a strategic defense and attack. Well, obviously, we have some amazing, obviously, content creators that be coming in. The teams are pretty stacked, as Gibbons already said, though, Felix. As we can see the names here. Felix, there's a lot of names that we know on the boards here. I'm excited for a few, especially Gargod. I know Gargod's a PUBG console, but his team is Team UK, baby, as they be rolling it down. I'm looking forward to those guys. But look, for you, Felix, who's a takeaway? Who should these people be watching?
Well, in your very unbiased opinion, it's Team 1. In my very unbiased opinion, it's Team number 5, which is the German guys with Fischkopf and Co. I think I think as variety streamers, that chances of taking it home might be a little bit slimmer than some of these other teams. We're gonna be honest in that regard, because we have some of the most professional esports players you could ever imagine. Like people that have literally won world championships in here. But apart from that, I think it's a good mix of streamers all around, as you said as well. Some variety streamers in there, some professional esports players, and yeah, starting off even with Gargot. So many different professional players in here that have so much strategy to bring into this game as well, that honestly I couldn't be more excited to get into this first game. And we've seen this in the last tournament as well. During the games, during the tournament even, with so few experiences being gained up until this point, these guys literally adapt and overcome these obstacles during the tournament as well.
And that's the biggest thing that we saw, especially from the first invitation, was the speed to delivery, the speed of which that these, I'm going to say a lot more pro players we had on the first one. This one is more of a mix, though, Gibson, as we are bringing in content creators and pro players. But Gibson, do you see that being an advantage if you're just a pure pro PUBG player? Or actually, do you think these content creators are going to be able to get their hands on this prize pool?
They're going to want to win, right? The content creators, they've got a different type of drive when it comes to these things. They like to be the best at what they do. But if I'm being honest, I think that you got to look at the professional players to be going out to win this. The way professional players look at games and problem solve will definitely come into this game. Now, I know in NA later we're going to have a viewpoint from some other titles, but in this one, I'm looking, and yeah, Gagod's team with all the UK boys, I think they're going to be a fun one to watch, but don't rule out some of the CIS players. Like, I think the team with Habakwa and Pukamuladoy's team will definitely be one to watch, because they've been playing all day.
Yeah, I was supposed to say, I've been watching Klim today as well. They've been really strong, and you guys were talking during the break, and I'll let Whippet go into a bit more. Strategy's already started into form. Now, obviously, we need to get ready for the warm-ups, and this might be a good opportunity, Whippet, for some of these teams to try out some strategies, but more importantly, get used to these gun skills.
Yeah, this is going to be, of course, the massive part about this is we have that isometric point of view, and gunplay is, I'm going to say unconventional, but take that as the most positive way possible. You stand, you get your gun ready, and you can decide whether you're aiming at head height, lower, or crouch, and it's that unorthodox side, your vision, all the side on what you can physically see, so do not let that perspective fool you, and this is going to be a nice little warm-up for the players to get an idea as they get prepared for this. But as we mentioned, they have been playing all day, getting ready for this one.
Yeah, and these teams, this is Laura's team taking on Pukamuladoy's team, and as you can see, Fuzzface peeks around the corner, but retention with the MK14, and the MK14 is a weapon that we spoke about quite a bit together, about, one that's really effective inside this game. And so anyway, we're seeing some, should we say, ratty tactics from Laura's team, a lot of corner camping.
Listen, of course, we will talk about this one. One of the massive things, we call this blind spot for a reason. You can only see what you can physically see. So corners, you got to sweep them. You have to make sure everything's clear. And Rat Tech can win you championships as you see this one. So Gibson, I've got a big question for you to ask. I'm going to ask you in this one going into it. It's going to be pros versus CCs a lot of this time. Are you thinking there's going to be a wild card victory for any of the CCs teams?
I don't. Look, you and I, we work in the competitive scene. I'm all for pros in the way they look at games, and I think it'll be very hard for the CCs to win, which is why some of them have brought a bunch of pros onto their team, like Gagod, like Laura has here today, Pukamuladoy. Getting rid of one of those pros is Fuzzface, formerly of Liquid Whippet. I know you're one of the biggest Liquid org fans in the world.
How have I ended up in the PUBG universe with you, Gibson? You brought up my love for the organization Liquid. How have you done that then?
I just have, right? I just have. It's what you and I do together as we're at 16 kills to 15. But look, it's short and sweet. This is the warm-up, so if anyone is watching, this is not officially part of the tournament. This is just getting the players ready to go going into this one. And Whippet as well, Hibuba that you see is actually Habako. So anybody watching who's wondering who it is, that is Habako playing on that team.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep my senses around me for that one, Gibson. I've got a sneaking feeling. But of course, as you mentioned, this is a team deathmatch mode. This is just get everyone a little bit warmed up, familiar, how things work, get themselves locked in this one. If anyone hasn't been able to dive into this game yet, and of course, Gibson, the game has just dropped on Steam for the demos available now, so you can get yourselves diving into it, Gibby. I know we're going to be ranked or stacking up a little bit later on after these EMEA games, but I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, make sure to get the game demo, and of course get it on your wish list on Steam as well. Keep up to date whenever the game is officially released. This warm-up, we're almost over. 2 minutes 20 to go, or 8 more kills, as it looks like it's a tight one. 24 to 22, make it 25 to 22 as we're watching Klim just swing around the corner. Friendly fire is of course a thing in this game as well, as the shotgun will swing on out. You know what, but I'm a little lost when it comes to TDMs, and it's one, and it's Pukamuladoy's team Get the warm-up victory. Yeah, you don't get any points for that apart from brownie points for the day.
All I'm saying, if you're looking at this one right now, you're going to look at Klim, for example, being able to get that 9 bomb dropping. And you're going to look at your top performers for this one. If they can do that in the chaos of a TDM, you think when everything breaks out, when we move towards Demolition, the primary, the 5v5 game that we'll be looking at later on, you got to think if they can do it in the chaos, in the midst of fog of war that we see in TDM, they might be able to do that when things get a little bit more serious.
Yeah, and what I'm looking at as well up is the numbers that you have on your screen. The accuracy and the headshot percentage being brought up. Remember, as you move around in the game, your accuracy decreases, and as you pointed out earlier as well, a simple scroll of the mouse wheel will change whether or not you're aiming for the body or the head. And, you know, you look at Klim and you look at Fuzzface, 2 players definitely going for headshots. Klim's 33% accuracy is a high number, but only 6 kills. Let's bring the desk back in to see what they thought of her warm-up.
Very, very, very interesting warm-up, Gibby.
Well, you highlighted very well. There's nothing but bragging rights for that quick warm-up as the players were keen to get going. And you do touch on a really good point. In fact, we actually spoke about this quite a lot on the first time. The accuracy, the ability to go between a headshot and a body shot. We already see a lot of the crouch movements that these players can get underneath, hide away, and then just pop up and be extremely explosive.
Yeah, you think with the top-down view, it might not be as much about recoil, but indeed it still kind of is. If you've actually played the game, if you've even only dropped into the shooting range, you can kind of tell there is still a little bit of a recoil pattern in there. Yes, it's Bloom to some degree as well, but there is still this mechanical component as well, and some of these weapons are really interesting to play. We saw the MK14 being played a lot in there as well. I think Marsleg was picking that one up, and my personal favorite weapon in that regard as well, right? It's that perfect mix of a top-down view weapon where it still has recoil and feels kind of realistic, which is ultimately for us, you know, coming from PUBG, one of the most important things, right? Gun feel. How does it actually feel to eliminate your opponents? And I think this is actually one big point, in my opinion, that BLINDSPOT really nailed.
This is a big thing, obviously, across titles, but the ability to, obviously, big change for me, that you can't multi-select characters. So we're going to see a little bit later as we go from the TDM actually into the game format. And just for those that are new into here, it's going to be a best of 1 today. We're going to obviously make sure we get the scores and the doors, and everyone's going to play everyone else. And then tomorrow we're going to come back. Someone will get a bye through to the semis. Everyone else is going to be coming back to the quarters. And then we're going to be working our way out on a best of 3 until we get to the final, which is going to be a whopping best of 5. Now, we didn't really get to see too much there, Gibson, about some of the characters, but we do allude that actually some of the gun skills, some of the differences we're going to have from the first Invitational to the second is they can't select the same character twice. Only one person can now pick the shotgun person. Only one person can pick the M249, etc. So do you think that's going to be a big difference now as this game evolves?
I think it's more in line with what you see from this style of game, this genre of 5v5 tactical, bomb defusal game or decryptor game. I'm going to get the phrasing right.
You got it.
But when it comes to this style of game, I think it's important that you have specific people doing specific roles. For example, when I first came into this game and started practicing, Fnatic was the operator, the character that I used most because I saw the P90. As a PUBG fan, I see the P90. I was like, yeah, I don't even care what the special ability is, which is of course the ability to heal your teammates. First thing was P90, it rules inside of PUBG. And I had a lot of fun playing Fnatic, but it is a very support-oriented character in the game.
That as well as utility. Now, obviously, we've seen utility across platform, Whippet, and actually things like the Blue Zone nades, we've seen them been really impactful as well. I think we're going to see there are huge amounts of them tonight. We've got drops, obviously, with the gas grenades. Utility is so key, especially, I think, from a defensive point of view. I know, obviously, attacking, you can go throw some stuff in there, Whippet, but from a defensive point of view, I think these teams need to figure out what the strategy there is from the characters, but also what utility.
Yeah, utility in the defense comes in all shapes and sizes, and not always within your unique gadget or what you bring. Sometimes it can be as simple as a shotgun. Collision, for example, brings out that shotgun and is able to mold the environment to create long lines of sight. If you're so used to time and time again, you walk into a map, you expect the same hallway, well, guess what? Now there's a massive shotgun breach at the end of it, and the defense can see you all day long. You can mold the map with that, and it's one of those things that I think is going to be a nuance, and a lot of these players want to get used to very quickly as we very quickly evolve what we might see today.
Well, talk about evolving. Let's quickly evolving towards the attacking point of view. Hines, come on, Felix. The best character that's out there. The ability to put a spy drone through the wall and get at least a snapshot picture on what's on the other side.
Yeah, I played a little bit with Hines in my personal time as well. And I actually think And not only that is a great ability on his own, but his Desert Eagle, his secondary is super strong as well. We saw that in the previous streamer tournament as well, right? Super accurate. I think one of the only guns that I've played personally that give you that pinpoint accuracy while moving as well. There's almost no bloom to it. Yes, it takes a second to get that accuracy back as soon as you hit that first shot, or maybe the second, third. But after that, super dangerous weapon in the hands of people that are great aimers. And we have plenty of these playing today, so I'm excited to see him as well. And second thing as well is, I think Gibson said it, right? Shotguns, how important they have been in previous tournaments as well, in terms of defending. We've got a new champion in here as well. He's not only got a shotgun, he's got an automatic shotgun as well. So I'm excited to see him play as well.
Well, we don't have to be excited for much longer because it's time to go down the first game. Let's hand over to our wonderful casters. You guys get to take away Laura and Pokemon. It's going to be a best of one. Let's see who's going to take this one.
Thanks, Mark and Whippet. I am ready to get stuck in. For the viewers at home who are looking about the format of this game, it is 2 rounds on attack, 2 rounds on defense, first to 3. If we have a tie, it is a simple best of 1 decider to see who takes the win. Whippet, Hospital will be the very first map we're going to, the same 2 sides we saw previous. But the thing that was brought up on the desk is the big question of how do these defensive teams view the map? Are we going to see teams make the rotates between sites? What the teams elect to reinforce? How they view the map and how they set up their defenses is really going to determine how some of these attacks are going to go, especially in such a new game like this.
This is also going to be where the most important decisions are made round for round. You can opt what to bring, what heroes you're going to bring in these moments, and of course, it is a very, very interesting selection. You can bring one time around of it, and Gibson, the immediate thing going to me is we're going to see that hammer getting brought out twice. That's Carnival coming out, and again, you might think, you know, I like this. It's simple. It's just a hammer. The way you can mold a map and be able to shape it to what you want to do, both offense and defensively, is incredibly effective for both these teams. As we move into our preparation phase now, everything getting ready for this one. This is where you can reinforce off your walls, barricade them up, and deploy your utility to keep things nice and safe. So Gibson, from the defense, what do you expect to see here?
Yeah, well, I'm looking, and they're reinforcing those external wall walls that go deeper into the map. However, they've not done anything with the soft wall from B pushing into the corridor where Laura is playing, or between sites. Now, I would love to see a rotate between A and B to allow the likes of Adriana to flick between positions really quickly, and then you can use those smokes from afar. Looking at the attack Whippet though, I said that this team, Pokemon team, goes for a 3-2 style offense where 3 players will push directly from one side of the map and the other 2 will push the other way. That is exactly how they're approaching this in the early stages.
Early blue zone grenade goes out as well. Now you can lob that in, cover a massive amount of zonal control from that without having to get yourself line of sight. Medkits already deployed, and yet again that use of blue zone. You're able to get information from this, and if you don't get information, you push them off. The opening engages looks to arrive, and they're just knocking on the door of sight immediately. It's early damage trade-off, but crouching behind those shields. I mean, no, number 1, no LOS. Grenade goes deep in towards sight. A is going to have some massive destruction. Attention's going to find that opening. An instant trade happens off there. The MK14 off the cards as the MP5 fires one off Gibson. What a swarm of the offense arriving so far. It might just be one sole defender who has to hold the front line, but flanked from lobby as Fuzzface is there to unravel every single plan and finally trade it off. And we're left to know 2 versus 2.
Yeah, Adriana really low, but does have 2 smokes in the back pocket, so the utility is still there. A shield has not been used just yet, but they've worked out that B is now clear. Gaxi on full HP, electing to rotate back from this position to give the defenders a flank in Pokemon, the last player standing. Adriana, as we said, 1 HP, chasing down Pokemon, who will push inside of the crypt of A. Back now, maybe we'll see the flank. Gaxi just has to go through the door, but he elects to go around the other side. This one should be done and dusted. Gaxi on the flank, and the defenders take the first round.
And Gibson, listen, when we watch matchups like this one and games like this, you often have to say the defense can tend to have a slight advantage from that. Moment of chaos arrives towards the latter stages of that round. Everything goes insane. And that was going to be massive from Fuzzface, flanking out from lobby, being able to find things, unravel that round. Opening goes to our defense. Gaxi leading by 2 on the entry so far. We'll go to our operator, we'll go to our selection screen yet again, locking things out, of course. Here on Heritage Hospital, A variation. So this time around, what lessons can we learn from that defeat going into it? Well, what we saw the defense do was be incredibly stacked on holding the objective alone, and immediately we're seeing barbed wire deployed, extending out their presence, and this is going to be massively important. You want to delay as much time as possible for its explosive utility to clear these away, and just sap away at those resources, and every room, every corridor, every angle has to be a little bit harder to get control of. You can't just sit in one building, or in one room, as the crypt can be very vulnerable if these walls get opened up, for example. 2 minutes to get this job done. 3-2 offensive attacking lineup that we've seen so far, and yet again, brought out. Blue zone grenades have been used incredibly effectively to get that information early, and one tossed out yet again.
Yeah, clearing space, forcing Laura back towards site as they've got 3 defenders on site, and Gaxi and Fuzzface are on the roam. Rotates between A and B are now available, so Adriana does have the opportunity to crouch through as the first nade will get tossed down the corridor. That will clear the barbed wire and put some pressure towards the side. Another nade tossed deep into sight, doing a ton of damage, but Laura has got to be careful playing off the back of that shield. Another nade does damage to the shield. It will be cleared. Laura will go for the swing, does a little bit of damage on the PWD, who steps on in through the breach, but Marsalek with great cover, but Laura forced into the corner by the blue zone nade.
This is going to make things very difficult. Laura has very little HP to work with. No health pack anywhere. HGs go out, but do not find their mark. Hiboka's going to find the opening. Fuzzface is going to go, and now site's being cracked wide open. A crypt is available. And the real question is if they can just creep themselves in. Shots goes out. Laura's going to fall. Adriana's next for this one. The offense cascading straight in. One by one, they all fall. They get that job done, not by objective, but the end of the rifles. They bring us level.
Yeah, and just like that, they take advantage. I genuinely feel like the defenders are so heavily favored in this game that if you win one of your 2 attacking rounds, you're in such a strong position at the side swap. One thing worth pointing out, utility usage on the attackers was very well done. On the defensive side, I think they left a little bit in the back pocket that maybe they could have used elsewhere. But I'm looking at the defensive lineup now. Laura will now be on the attack as the side swap, but she was playing aggressively in that door between A and B with the opportunity to med yourself. The only operator in the game that has that ability. Do you like having, your first contact player on site, bringing this operator and having the ability to med up after every gunfight?
It's definitely a useful resource, but it's diminishing returns. If you extend out, you look to be the person to take that frontline contact, and yes, you can repair and deal with some of that damage taken. But if you do end up being first to fall, that could be utility, that could be heals used later on. But immediately from this defensive side, we're seeing them wanting to barricade and hold up a shield out towards main lobby. They'll rotate themselves out to elbow, and they can sit and play this extended. They got a vent angle straight in the lobby, and I don't know if they're aware. Fuzzface somewhat cautious in wanting to make the entryway here. They do have hinds available, so those drill drones are there. They can try and get themselves some extra information. Secondary door down towards lobby has been cracked open. That's going to be an escape from vent so far. Much more extended defense presence so far.
Yeah, you can see that 4 defenders in and around the site. PWD holding this corridor for dear life as Gaxi doesn't want to peek too far. PWD will come under a little bit of fire, but you can just see that this attacking team approach the map very differently. They're all about creating lines of sight. A now will be open, giving you the line of sight, but Pokemon Doy will hide behind the server rack. PWD, but look at Marsalek creeping down the corridor for a flank.
Massive impact on the Fuzzface as well. Lobbed out, second and third HG in towards A. Walls taking chip damage. PWD is going to be the first contact there, backs off. Blue zone grade's fantastic for this, and it's going to eat in the time. 60 seconds remain, all 10 players still standing. Opening engagements seem to be arriving. Avoca's going to find a massive damage. They know exactly where he is at this stage. Just trying to hold on best they can, falling back, using these shields to create separation of LOS and get a better angle to work with. Another stack of HEs goes in, blowing open some walls. But keeping all this cover intact, this primary stack of shells still being enough to keep everything at bay. And a second blue zone grenade chokes us on out Gibson. 35 seconds. The defense might have this one unlocked as every single player still standing.
Yeah, but look at the HPs. Retention and PWD are pretty low on the attack. 25 seconds to go. Gaxi with that crypt in the hands. The decryptor will look to get towards site, but We're into the final 20 seconds now. PWD will get swung as the pistol will find that kill, allowing them maybe the opportunity to flood towards site. But with 10 seconds left, it ain't looking good here for them, and the defenders will win. It's 2-1, and that does mean that they will move onto map point.
Incredible use of denial. Now, the big thing I'm looking at this for the defensive side this time around, Gibson, is the extension out in towards lobby. They were able to use that vent in from 90 to get a great angle straight on that main door. And again, that little bit of physical pressure that you exude out towards the extremities of the map to deny that entryway chokes out vital seconds. We saw that the offense this time around ran out of time. They're trying to make these snap decisions. And again, matchup like this, you've got to sweep your corners. There might be someone lurking around any position. And they got caught a little bit cold those final 30 seconds. Defense, as you mentioned, moving on to map point here on Hospital A. So, setup-wise, Gibson, you think more of the same from this?
Yeah, well, look what they're doing straight off the bat. So Klim's going to reinforce these walls in towards the corridor while they create that crouched rotate between A and B. It just means that you've got more fluidity to push between sites if the attackers get the upper hand. Reinforcing quad wall, looking down towards vending machine as well, which is the right thing to do. The shield trying to create a bit of a kill box in between A and B inside of connector. On the attacking side though, but a spawn peak here as blue team get really aggressive, and Gaxi down to 25 HP straight off the bat.
You got to keep yourself nice and secure. You got to see a 2-2-1 lineup from the offense so far. Just trying to find their way and probing it. And again, look at this extension all the way outside. They're really trying to hold on to as much of these buffer rooms as possible, buying space, making every single inch of this map a nightmare to take and control. Looks like they should get themselves in. Renta's going to take the initial engagement falling off. MK14 so powerful in this position. Just holding on best they can. Hammer from Carnival is going to breach on into elbow. And that's going to be a great deployable shield placed down, but it's going to be a poorly timed retreat as Gaxi finds the opening. And this is exactly the offense need. They need that numeric advantage as time begins to waver.
Yeah, Habako fleeing back towards vending as Fuzzface is on the hunt, and Laura will get that kill with the P90 from down the corridor. So, the attacking side now with the advantage. It's a 5 versus 3. Laura doesn't have any more medkits in the back pocket as that utility has been utilized, but PWD with the arm will peek across, gets the kill on the Marsalek, and all of a sudden the defenders now working their way back into the game. Adriana's low, the nade will force Pokemon Ladoy into cover and dips in, but look at the damage being dealt as Fuzzface is down. Whip it, it's a 2v3, 49 seconds, and it's level. Next round wins.
Everything comes down to this sudden death. A great bounce back from the offense. But again, you take that early damage, you take that spawn peak, you think, oh, things might get very, very difficult. A poorly timed retreat from the deployable shield in the middle of the hallway means that there's going to be an opening. Retention was first to fall in that one, had such a key and pivotal role with that shield denying that access, falls back at just the wrong time, and the breach made by Carnival's explosive hammer gets some direct access to that position, Gibson. So moving into our final round of our opening matchup here, Gibson. Offense, defense. Simple prediction. What are you going to go with?
Defense. I think that I see enough.
Boring.
Well,
I agree.
Okay, you're going to go for... You agree.
No, it's boring, but I agree. Listen, I'm going to say advantage should sit with the defense. Because they can mold a map, they can set things up, as you mentioned, they can deploy these rotations, have maneuverability between these positions on that site, they can get murder or they can get kill holes to make everything a little bit more difficult, create kill boxes, create these choke points, create these crossfires, and that's what they need to do. But from this lineup, they seem to be incredibly compressed. Gaxi, the only real player extending out, joined by Fuzzface, and they're stacking up, but this is where you gotta sweep your corners, and Gaxi might just play the patience game. Do they know what they're gonna check it, but only a fraction of a second too late, finding one! But he's gonna get himself traded away.
Yeah, but you take that trade in the early stages. PWD, the top performer for the side, is down. So I'd say it's advantage for the defenders. Pokemon Ladoy has taken a lot of ground as he enters on the other side of the map, as it looks like we'll get a full rotate now from retention. Minute and 42 seconds to work with here. You can see that there is a direct line of access in towards A as things stand, and PWD knows, look, the pings are coming out. They have a pretty good idea of where Laura is playing as they start using those nades, but I want to see more offensive utility use to try use every gadget you have in the pocket to try get a win here.
They have Hines available. They can get themselves some information. Laura's going to find one, a massive pick there. And while Gibson, one by one, they seem to fall. Klim's got those drill drones and can get information through those walls. Everything, these soft panels are destructible. Laura, for example, isn't in cover. If you can just clear Fuzzface, you can get yourself an opening and try and knock on the door of A as well. But Fuzzface wants to get aggressive, chasing down a peak, swings that wide, should get one and does so. Retention falls. Advantage on the defensive side. 50 seconds in a 3 versus 2. Should be job done. Never say never in a matchup like this. All it takes is one miss peak. Wounded members of the defense, for example. Just so close in that corner, but a great crossfire established on towards B.
Oh, but look at the attack, and they've got no nades left. It all has to essentially be done. They've got a couple of C4s and Pokemon Ladoy's pocket, but Fuzzface is in the corner. Shield at the ready to provide protection, and as soon as Klim steps up towards this door line, there's going to be a problem. Fuzzface heard the steps on out, gets a lot of damage onto Klim, but Klim will win his 1 versus 3 now. All hanging on a prayer here, and Laura's waiting with the P90. The defenders will win, as Laura's team will win the first matchup of the day. They go 1-0 inside of the EMEA region. But look at the stats up at Fuzzface and Gaxi. 600 damage dealt each. They were a massive reason why this team got the win.
If you can find that damage, you can find that opening. It's not all down to kills, of course, but we didn't see the Decryptor plant at any time. The defense held fast for this one. We do see some offensive success, but the big story of that one is just going to be that maneuverability, especially in that last round. Seeing Gaxi finding that flank, finding that position, hiding behind that countertop in lobby, just remaining undetected for long enough to cause that chaos is exactly what you need. Listen, Gibson, I often say greatness comes from chaos, and we saw that time and time again. Whoever can step up in the midst of all that is going to be able to find success for their team.
Yeah, and we've already seen different ways of defending that side as well from both those sides. A lot of roaming presence as the game progressed. You know, we're seeing the defenders get that little bit more aggressive, which, let's be real with it, we saw a lot in another title you and I worked in as time progressed at the very start of that game as well. But that's enough from us. We're your casters. We're not your analysts. We got analysts back on the desk. We're going to throw back to them. They'll talk you through game 1, and we're going to get ready for game 2.
Thank you very much, Gibson and Whippet. What a game number 1, Phalanx. Look, first time we've done the Invitational is very much, we know the defensive side is more aggressive in the context they normally get the 1 and 2, but this time wasn't the case. They were able to dig back, but unfortunately they're unable to dig the victories. Laura will claim game number 1.
Yeah, but I also think this kind of matchup kind of has to be talked about as some kind of exception, because these are some of the best teams we have going today. I think even the outcome is a little bit of a surprise to me. Yes, they're both on an equal 11, but Pokemon on these guys, you've said it before in the pre-show as well. They've trained a lot. Like Klim was not only fragging in the TDM warm-up that we've seen, he was fragging throughout the last weeks. He was playing the game, which is a good sign for the game in general, but also for the performance of your team. So I'm very surprised it turned out to be this way. But then again, I mean, there's reasons for it, right? Great aggressive stances coming up from Gaxi and Cole. He was playing very unpredictable, making sure that the aggression, even on the defensive side, was at a very unpredictable level, right? Sometimes it was almost on the very first door to the entrance, sometimes it was all the way back on the backside, and also in terms of utility, just so much stuff that has just absolutely gone their way. And then again, that makes it a little bit less surprising, that outcome. That's a 2-3, very close outcome, has to be said as well.
It was close. Obviously, we went to the wire. We unfortunately did G up Whippet and Gibson to say, these games are super quick. They're normally like quick one done out of here, and it went to the wire. All 5 games, though, didn't disappoint any one of them. I did see a bit of a difference, though, Felix, from the teams. It still felt for me, both teams, a little bit of a TDM, but we started to see a little bit more strategy coming out, especially in Pokemon team. We saw kind of a 3-2 split. We saw it very, very clear of those points. The guys did highlight it as well, compared to the chaos that we saw first time around, where people kind of just running, taking one-on-one fights. So I like to see that we're actually seeing more team play coming out here, more util coming out here. But Felix, there was some times that we were lacking in some of the utils for some of these players. They were just backs up against the wall. Is that a case that they're just not used to the game just yet?
I think there could be an argument both ways, right? Yes, sometimes it's the utility usage wasn't perfect in the way of when they used it and how they used it, but they did use it, and that's the good part that I'm trying to make a point for. I think we saw this especially from these two teams as well. There's very minimal changes on who played the last time. I think 2 or 3 maximum per team. We saw this last time from these guys as well, especially Pokemon Adore. They know how important utility is in this game, especially in top-down view environment, where if you have a straight one-on-one aim fight with someone, most of the times, even if you're the better aimer, you're gonna lose HP at the very least, because it's only so tough to hit you. And most of the times, depending on the weapon choice as well, you'll have a chance to at least return something. Yes, you might lose against someone who's more mechanically skilled than you, but ultimately it's going to be the strategy and the utility usage what it comes down to. And I think they realized this the last time over very early on. And this is why we also saw a very slow-based approach on the attacking side from both teams. This immediately gave me the sign that these two teams definitely have experience already in the competitive side of things on PUBG BlindSpot, and which is why I was so hyped to see these two teams fight it off as well. I'd be surprised if this was going to be the case after the day ends for every single game that we're going to see today.
Yeah, let's talk about some other games actually, because we have scores coming through literally as we're sitting here as well. It's sad. Team UK dropping the ball. 3-0 victory. Days claim it clean. They were unable to even get a point on the board. And if I'm right, they would have been potentially a defending side to start with as well. So clearly not ready, clearly not settled just yet. Individual fragging power, individual fragging teams. We know these are great content creators and pro players, but unable to defend about the content creators. That there is a shocking result.
Yeah, I think that there's something to be said about shocking results, right? In a game that is so brand new, and we said that almost every single team, just looking at the team names, even from the Turkish rosters, even from the German rosters, everyone has got some kind of professional esports playing experience, and especially players that have these experience. So I'd be surprised, as I said before, if this is going to be the only upset they're going to see today. I personally don't think so.
Yep. Look, let's not get upset. God is in chat, mate. Big shout to you, mate. Get your team sorted. I know you're going to blame the keyboard. I know you're a console guy. Get the dust off and get gaming, because I know you can deliver. Team UK all the way. Look, let's take a quick break. When we come back, as I said before, we've got best of one. Every team is playing every team, so we are going to get an opportunity to see every team play another team. We might see a couple of teams twice over, but the idea is obviously you're going to see best of one. As I said, when we come back, though, we'll be putting our next game up, and obviously let us know how you're finding things on chat. And if you get 2 minutes, guess what? Get yourself on Steam. Type in PUBG BlindSpot, smash the download button on the demo, but more importantly, hit the wish list on the main game, because that's where you're going to find the most information of where it's coming out, and obviously where, more importantly, the information is coming to, especially if they're making changes to the game. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're bringing match number 2.
Welcome back in, everyone, to PUBG BLINDSPOT Invitational. This is the EMEA event. My name is Gibson. I am here with Whippet, your casting pair. We got Mark and Falix on the desk. And if you're wondering what this is a brand new game from PUBG. The demo is available now on Steam, Whippet. And if you want to wishlist it, you can keep up to date as to when the main game releases. But you and I had a talk during the break. This game really does have a lot of potential, and I think that the more people play it, the better this game actually will get.
I think so as well. Listen, this is a very raw experience for lots of players coming to this matchup, and the big thing for me is that the last map, if you were here for watching that, was a little bit of all chaos everywhere. I think a lot of people going in for fights. Once people begin to work out the intricacies of every single character, all that utility, we're going to see very intricate defensive lineups, and we're already starting to see that a little bit, right? You know, we started off in that matchup, it was very TDM. The more rounds we go, the more people are starting to realize, wait a minute, I can make a rotation between these sites, or I can do this. We're going to see that evolution of how people look at this map, and they don't look at it like a map like you would see in PUBG or other conventional shooters. You're going to look at this and go, this is a canvas. We can do something with this one. You can be a little bit more creative. You can express how you want to defend, how you want to attack. And I think slowly but surely we're going to see that over the course of this weekend.
I think the way that you look at the POVs and FOVs that are available as a defensive side is going to have a huge impact on this game. When you open up head holes in what wall? How far can you see down a corridor? Is it as advantageous or disadvantageous? Which walls do we need to reinforce? Where is it useful to have a rotate? Like, remember, you don't have to create rotates just between sites. If you're on the roam, it can be really effective if you create rotates between certain rooms as well to give you more maneuverability around the attackers on the flank. So, as you said, this is a canvas, and I think it is up to the defenders to do the actual painting, because at the end of the day, all them attackers want to do is burn that thing down.
Yes, they do, and they've got the resources to do it. I'm a massive fan of Carnival, by the way, so far. Explosive Sledgehammer, able to crack through those walls, create a little bit of chaos, and those extra lines of sight. The big thing, though, that I often want to talk about, that we've seen some teams implement so far, is that split theory idea of having 3-2 as the offensive line, wanting to be able to creep in and have that front line of 3 people and a backstab of 2. In a matchup like this, a game like this, and I'm going to call it a blind spot mechanic. Of course, your vision's based on what you can actually see. Do not let the isometric viewpoint fool you. It's all about what you can physically see. If you have a lot of people together and you can see your teammates' perspectives, it might be a better idea to have more people together to have that web of information, able to always see what's going up ahead of you. Because the less people you have in close proximity, the more likely you can get yourself caught napping by someone deploying some rat-based technology in a corner of a room.
Well, we saw Fuzzface do it a few times, you know. All love Fuzz. We saw you do it a few times, but I'm thinking about other titles too. Like, if you, all you gotta do is put pressure on one side of the map, then rotate around to the other one, and basically keep those defenders on their toes. Like you said, we saw 3-2, a lot of 3-2 in that last game. We could potentially see 4-1 splits. Yes, you'll have attacks as well where there'll be more rushed based, where you'll see all 4 attackers go in one line. But I want to see, moving on to Warehouse, the defenders express themselves more. It was very much 3 defenders on site and 2 roamers on opposite sides of the map. Let's see the defenders put less, I want to see the defenders put less of an emphasis on site itself and extending out to some of the more powerful areas of the map. Remember, if you're watching at home, it is basically 5 rounds at the most, first to 3, as we get ready to watch this one. And Gagod's team will kick things off on the attack, but for those, for people not versed inside of the PUBG scene, this is like a UK team. You got a lot of players there that we know very well. Atomical and Michael we know pretty well, and then on the opposite side of the team is a German content creator team led by their captain Fishkop.
Well, you think about this one, we might have CCs versus some pros, but on the defense, you tend to have that intrinsic advantage. We mentioned, Gibson, that we want to see some broad strokes. Use this map, shape it, mold it to whatever you want to do, as Warehouse B is our map of choice for our second matchup here, Gibson. And, well, who are you rooting for? And is it the PUBG guys from the UK? Because I think it is.
If I don't root for Michael in this one, Michael will give out to me. He'll kick me from his Discord. He'll get rid of all my access, and he'll stop being my friend. But look at these. Look at this layout, Whippet. B is a rather large site. It's very close to an external wall. There's just one corridor separating the outside of the building to site. Organic is ready on the window for this initial push, and I'm seeing Gagod, Atomical, and Michael potentially going direct to site, and you can see it. Organic needs support, and that's a really well thrown BZ just to buy him a little bit of time and allow himself to reinforce this wall.
Able just to choke out a little bit of time, as you mentioned, enough to get that reinforcement down. That means that wall is going to be a little bit more secured, and you can hide behind it. Now, that's going to be a flashbang tossed out, trying to buy some space. And Organic is somewhat alone here. 3 bodies stacking up. You can play the corner, play for your cover. Galgod seems to have a fair inclination. They're going to be in towards this position. Stuns thrown out, double stack of them, and a BZ as well, looking to find their way entry in towards B side, but delayed for the time being so far, running off and going to join this buffer room. Now, connector's going to be very important to play with. This would be kind of somewhat of a choke point, limited doors to work with. You're going to rely on your soft destruction to get you access, as it seems to be a wolf pack from the offensive lineup trying to find their way in. The defense have made this very difficult indeed. Opening pick, though, to see the defense first to fall.
Yeah, the motion detectors from the defense giving up the game for the attackers as they know where they are. As 4 people stack up inside of attacker, and it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Now, B is completely available, but Paddy will find the kill on the Cappy, giving the defenders the advantage now. Atomical has got to be oh so careful. Another kill as Liquids fall, but Whippet, look how free B is. Atomical and a quick fallback could give them full control. And those defenders are locked into position, but the decryptor, it goes cold. There's one defender or attacker left alive. It's Gagod. He's going to get some HP back on, but Whippet, this is a pretty thankless task now for Gagod.
This is a nigh impossible one. Just trying to look for some information, but it seems the defense are somewhat stuck to this blind spot, and pardon my pun, as Paddy's going to be able to find that, collect that final pick with the P90. Job is done, and the defense get themselves their opening victory here. This is going to follow the script that I'm going to say for this one, Gibson. I have a sneaky suspicion that the defense is going to be your favorite team. Remember, the offense have to come to the defense. They have to make every dangerous decision. The defense, intrinsically, have the advantage where they can mold the map. But more importantly, they can sit still. They have to bait out utility. You have to use your resources if you're attacking to get that one done. So Gagod's roster has one more crack at the offensive lineup here, Gibson. Some swaps going around, but again, Carnival not getting brought out. Going to be available from the defense. So that explosive hammer just able to carve open these walls and maybe make things very, very fluid for the defensive lineup. But again, B-site has not nearly direct access, and that connector room between these two has been a death sentence for the offense so far today. Hopefully for the offense, they can avoid it this time around.
And I want the viewers at home to look at the attacking lineup and work out what they're trying to do. Gagod playing as I believe Collision's the character name. Those trip mines are essentially your flank watch. What you want Gagod to do is put down those trip mines and try to catch out any rotating defenders. Cappy with the blue zone nades is a great entry, clearing space with those blue zone nades. Liquids can get so much information, of course, with the operator's special ability, of course, letting them know where players are based on movement and information. But Whippet, it's, again, a very, very similar lineup. Arcanic playing behind the barrels, has got Michael playing behind. If they go direct for B, with the smokes providing cover, and they win this one, they could have a really good opportunity, but Arcanic is going to get obliterated by the shotgun.
That is massive. That's going to be Collision in the hands of Gargoyle. Just charging in, gets that control. And the decryptor should be open to get down. So get yourself over that crypt and plant this down. This is going to be a retake potential, but no, shut down. What a shot of landing. That's a massive moment. That's a massive blow, but they're going to try and get this down. They have done eventually. 45 until everything's wrapped up nicely. Rotation out from that vent and finds out Flying Fish Corp gets that one locked down. And this is going to be a mad scramble now. Trying to get themselves back in the side best as possible. They're going to flood towards this. Only one member of the offense still standing. And they need to get line of sight very quickly on that decryptor. Make sure this is going to be a safe one. But do they have direct access? They have enough time to choke this one out. Paddy, last one standing. Gibson, time is their enemy now. Can they play around it?
Yeah, Michael's going to win as one. He gets the kill, and the attackers will take it as we level the sides at the side swap. Former world champion, by the way, Whip. But I know that you're getting caught up with your PUBG lore. But Michael, of course, winning the PUBG Nations Cup with Team UK just a few years ago. And look at that. He is carrying the side. 6 kills so far.
Whoa! 551 damage?
Oh, bosh.
Bit of me, that
is. It's a bit...
Yeah, but I've never heard you say the word bosh ever, Gibson.
And you never will again.
Was that one for the UK boys?
It was a feeler. I put the feeler out there, didn't like it, and it's gone into my vocab forever now. You know the way sometimes you say something, you're like, yeah, no, that's not me.
Not a bit of you could say.
Not a bit of me.
Galgot is going to be donning collision and operator. I mentioned a little bit at the top of the show. Going this one brings out that pump action shotgun. Now I've not seen a lot of use of this resource from any team so far. They've not been able. They've not been utilizing this shotgun to create lines of sight that make things difficult. And the big thing on a lineup is the fact that this entryway into long has been incredibly easy every single time. There is that small access window that gets you straight into B, but this time we're going to see the German roster make a long rotation down all the way and maybe toy the idea of pushing themselves in towards A. Cargo is going to be the first entry point for this one. They're looking to get their way in. It's just being very, very timid for it. The lack of a Heinz here means they can't get vision for free. Grenade goes out. There's going to be Michael looking for that early engagement. Finds some damage traded off, but that HE should buy him some space. And chips away some of that HP as well. Early engagements find some damage chipped away. Nothing to write home about just yet.
Yeah, the attackers, they're going for a bit of a 4-1 split here, but a Smash and Lunatic will rotate around to Alphaton now as they look to push from the other side. The defenders, 2-2, two defenders on each side. Michael on the roam as a spray will come through the vent, and Cappy takes a little bit of damage but will now fall back. Alphaton is still looking for Michael, who's fallen back towards B now, but the attackers have their sights set on A. This moment in time, flash grenade thrown deep. The smoke will cut off lines of sight. Liquid will throw a defensive bit of utility to capture any movement, and Cappy is lucky to get away with his life, but he will get caught out by Smash and take the BZ though, being used to just buy a little bit more time.
Single entry point in towards A though. That's going to be a choke point. The funnel of death, you would call it. Michael finds one more. The defense in a great position to get themselves on the map point here. Control of storage, flanks around, might have access from that vent. Gargoyle's going to be a massive play here, finding one with the shotgun. Left untraded, but bodies flood in towards A. Gas grade's good to buy a little bit of damage. Liquids will find one with the M249, finds a second one as Gargoyle's shotgun. Organics next to go, 30 seconds. All down to one survivor. Lunatic's last one standing, looks to try and get entryway, but the LMG shuts it down, and again, defense find a victory, and they move themselves onto map point here on Warehouse.
You know what? The M249 and the shotgun have been the stars of this map so far. The impact that those weapons have been able to have has been huge as we move on to map point here for Michael and the rest of Gagod's team. Now, we've had the side swap. We've already had one attacking round, and I'm going to say this. I liked a lot of the things that Fishcop's team tried to do on that attack. They got themselves in a great position. But that double swing where we saw Gagod get one, and I think it was it Liquids got the other with the M249.
Yep.
It destroyed that attack down this connector hallway, looking between the sites. It did all the damage. But we're speaking about the canvas and the way to set things up. Look at the little changes. They're creating the rotate again between A and the corridor, so you can swing from the door and the corridor at the same time. But you look at everything else. The other room between B and A on the left, just south of Liquid, not really being utilized at all.
No,
no, it is.
Okay, as you mentioned it.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes caster curses transcend gaming universes, Gibson, it feels like, and it's very much a spread out offensive lineup here. Again, they tried to stack everything together last time around, the German roster. I think they're going to opt to go together. Smoke grenade detected, and that is going to shoot that one out. Again, this is going to be a nice, slow, early beginning. And this is where I love to see teams bring out a Heinz, for example. Again, you have that drill drone in your back pocket. You can send that through a wall, get line of sight, get some extra information, and make your plan from it. Information can be king. One body on the backstab all the way towards the southern side of this map. Entrance ways are still hesitant so far. Liquids have been so effective with the gunplay. Stacked up in B with Gagod. This might not be an easy tasking. Vents have been barricaded up as well. They should be able to clear this, and behind that deployable shield, Gago with that shotgun, waiting for that pressure to arrive. You walk in that gate, you might be able to catch you. BZ's good though. Shuts him down. He's going to be forced to relocate, but straight back behind cover.
You throw that BZ again though, you can see it forces Gagon into a position where he can't hold the breach, but Michael swings around, now throws out some of those impacts, but a long rotate back might just run into Afaiton, who's crouch walking. Actually, he was crouch walking on this side of the map, but rotating now towards Cappy on A. Cappy, feeling the pressure, calls Atomical back to give a little bit of assistance. That vent or that conveyor belt allowing access from one room into the next. Cappy will throw another BZ, forces them back, and with 40 seconds left, it's a 3-2 split and a big utility dump. But with it, they're dumping utility but they seem very slow pushing off the back of it.
Well, they're going to try and flood themselves into B now. Double stacked up. Liquid should find a pick there, but can't get that damage done. A's going to find some pressure as well. Top of your screen, BZ Grenade's going to force Liquids to move, but they need someone to dive in behind it. And no one's there. Choked out by gas grenades and caught in the crossfire. And that shotgun of Gargod's there. Michael looks to get aggressive. He's going to try and chase down this killer. Organic's not going to try and help their teammate. Needs to find a trade. Dives on in. Michael finds a second one. And it's going to be a flood for the defense. And they get the map wrapped up just like that.
Yeah, you'd expect it. Gagod and squad getting the win, and dominant fashion too, with a 3-1 win. Whoop it, they expanded out through the map, and we're just seeing little things as the games progress that show they're getting a better understanding. I feel like round number 1 is really cagey. Every single time they take their time, you know, they don't want to extend out too much, but as the game progresses, we're seeing the defensive side in particular spread on out and realizing, you know, just because it's sight doesn't mean we need to sit there.
Yeah, rushing in the site might leave it. Yes, you can get the decryptor down, but you might leave yourself vulnerable to that retake because the defense have that maneuverability around that. Michael, though, real highlight player for me. Just able to maneuver, always popping up around those 90 corridors, finding impact, tossing utility, tossing and finding picks, and that last round, finding two. That second pick has no right to do that against Organic, but gets that job done while the round unraveled around that play at 90.
It did, and just like that, the second round of fixtures is done. We've got 3 more rounds to go with, but to break down that previous map up, we're bringing back in Mark and Falix. They're going to talk you through game number 2.
Let's go, baby. Let's go! Team UK, Falix. Loving it.
Okay, that's just, wow.
Had to run off during the break, get changed really quickly, and come back with my Michael jersey on. That was a really good game. There's lots to break down, but I actually want to highlight the new character that has come into play. Fence. Using that proximity kind of tracking, they're able to pick up the players. It was really good to see.
It's really great is what he wanted to say ultimately. And I think one of the most interesting things that I said as well was when I originally knew that that character was released and I dropped into the shooting range is that the M249, you would expect it to be a weapon that maybe only excels in close range. It actually is quite the opposite. There's plenty of scenarios where the M249 can even be very impactful on range as well. The bloom, as we call it, the recoil, is not that bad actually, which is I thought was one of the most interesting things about Fence. While he sorts out his quick technical difficulties. By the way, I gotta say, I wish I'd have one of these for Germany, but I don't, unfortunately, which is one of the biggest regrets of my lifetime. I talked to Kovo about it. He never got back to me, unfortunately. But as we said as well, very deserving on that performance when it comes to Michael, knowing exactly how to play his character. I think he played drop down at the previous Streamer Invitational as well. He's been super consistent with it, and I think he's had probably the biggest impact, and we're going to see that stats-wise as well, and why they won this round. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we will head to a very quick break while we sort out Mark's microphone. And I think we... Oh, he's back. Oh,
I'm back. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. It just booted me out of the call, and then I've come back, and now I'm back in here. And I don't know. I think it was more talking about the Fence piece. Look, that was a good game, Felix. That was a very good game. Before we actually do go break, because it was a different change, obviously, with the defensive side. It felt a little bit uncertain, but for me, the UK team, Gargod's team, kind of got back into it. It's worth noting, I was playing just before Felix with Atomical, and I was playing a random match. He was on the other side, and I was like, I've just been called in as a super sub, like, break down the game for me. It's good to see, though, he's getting dug in deep. He's trying to find out, actually, how to break it down. Not able to get as many kills as Michael, because Michael seems to be a huge force for that team.
Yeah, as we said, I mean, he just knows how to play his character. I think one of the biggest things as well for not only him and his entire team, they know how to use the utility and when to use it. I think we talked about this in the previous game as well, and I think this has been another good showing of that. With how often they were able to delay the opposing team, and how often we've seen these late executes now coming in from the attacking side because they legitimately had to with how well they used the utility on the defensive side. I think it goes to show you how experienced these guys have now gotten over the last couple of weeks and how much work they've really put into this. And Michael, obviously, if you combine that with an individual skill, he just finds himself the right pathings. He finds himself the right situations to actually isolate these players, jump behind them, do that unexpected thing that we saw Gaxi do, for example, in the last matchup as well, and that's worked perfectly. I think he's going to be one of the biggest fraggers for that team going forward as well.
As you said, as we were talking during the round, Michael doesn't lose these 1v1s. But I'll tell you what we're not going to lose, though. We are going to jump over to a quick break. As I said, we do have 5 maps to be covering today. Plus, you've got the added bonus for looking at TDM at the very, very beginning. Let's throw to a quick break. When we come back, it'll be match number 3. See you guys in a few. Welcome back, everyone. After my trippy blue phase, where I got dropped out because of the aggressive stances that we saw from Team UK, Gibson getting a victory. Now it's Team Gargard. Let's be honest. I'll take this off in a second. But it's good to actually catch up because despite we might be watching one game, guys, there are other games that are happening. And actually, we get the wonderful print screen sometimes. We've had a couple of 3-0s. We've had a couple of 3-2s as well. But currently, without a loss, Gibson, well, it's going to be 100 days as they get a 2-0 at the moment.
Yeah, and I'll be looking at 10,000 days. Their games have been tight, but they're getting the win. Of course, this is all important when it comes to seeding for tomorrow, which is what these win-loss records are for. But I want to see Pokemon Lodoi get a win. You know, you're sitting bottom of the leaderboard. You've lost 2 games back-to-back. Game 3, no better time than the present to turn your fortunes around.
Well, Whippet, actually, we saw that game number 1. And for me, coming into this one, that was the team that I'd expect to be getting a tight win. I wouldn't expect them to be going at least 2-0 down, let alone in that first game. What do they have to change to maybe bring themselves back into this?
Biggest thing is going to be extending themselves out, play together, play for that trade, especially on the defense. I think it's pretty fair to say, just with the structure, how this works, defense is going to be where you want to get your banker around. It's much easier to get that done. I think they need to play much more together, play for the trades, and extend out more effectively there.
Well, let's see if they can extend themselves out, as we'll be getting our round number 3 underway very shortly. Felix, any takeaways before we throw back to these 2 wonderful gentlemen?
I'm just really excited to see all of these teams knowingly put in the work, knowing that they're going to be performing today in this Invitational tournament. I think we haven't seen a team yet that very obviously hasn't played the game through the last weeks and hasn't prepared for this. I think everyone's been kind of set in stone on what they want to play, not only in terms of strategy, but in terms of characters as well. There isn't really too much surprises that we've seen up until this point. And I think that's, as we said, I think that's a great indication of how the next games are going to go. Because, as we said, some of these teams that we've now just seen, for example, the German squad, the variety streamer squad, as I like to call them, even these guys have prepared immensely, and have even been able to get a good showing in against some of these professional players.
Well, FedEx, let's take a back seat, hand over to these wonderful gentlemen. It's game number 3, boys. Take it away.
Thanks, folks, and we hit the halfway point of the night. The undefeated 10,000 Days roster taking on the team from Turkey, which I'm excited to see. A couple of comp PUBG players up at Baron, Peak, Shilla, CC, players that I know very well from inside the EMEA scene. We're changing up map. The sides are lined up, and I'm looking at the defensive and attacking lineups. Not a lot of variance from what we've seen through. Now, I know that we don't have a lot of characters to choose from, but I want to see more. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I want to see so much more from drop down, because I think that those gas grenades can be so good at choking off space the exact same way the blue zones are.
Yeah, I think they're going to act in a very similar role for that one. Now, big thing for this one, Shopping Mall A will be our map player for this one, Gibson. And comparing to what we've seen from this one, the big thing for me is how compressed A and B are to each other. There's not a lot of buffer rooms going into it, and then expands out towards this offensive spawn that they've taken. 3 bodies stacked up yet again, and we're going to see this from 1000 Days going in, just lining up. And see what entranceway. 1 single defender, the only player holding this one. Baron's going to be locked in. Nice little bit of cover behind that deployable shield. But unfortunately, too many angles to check. And he's going to get caught from that one. BLINDSPOT is going to shut that one down. Opening pick for the offensive side. And it's going to be massive. You can get yourself 2 rounds on the offense. You're looking pretty to get yourself a 3rd consecutive undefeated run.
Yeah, I think Baron was trying to deploy some tech crouched on top of that shield. But I think that one needs to go back to the factory for a bit more testing. Over on the other side of the map, we're seeing Terscuff responsible for holding the push in from Mark. Very close to A. There's 2 direct access points inside of A, alongside the rotate that the defenders have made here as well. But Terscuff on the close corner beside the windows. Gotta be so careful. You've got the smokes. Use them to buy yourself time if you need. And I like this. Asnia stepping on out aggressively to give a little bit more presence, but all the attackers now pushing in towards B.
Great use of explosives there to open up some pathways. That's going to open the floodgates now. We're just going to find 2 more. And now they're going to look to flood straight in towards B. Get this decryptor down. And it's going to be a flurry. That shotgun finding 2. Cases down for this one. And it's going to be a flurry. That shotgun shredding everyone ahead of it. Shilla finds success, but the HG is going to deny this a little bit. The decryptor is down. Time is ticking. The offense can play around this, says the last one standing. HE should get some cover. No, doesn't deploy that shield, and it's going to look to be aggressive now. They have to flood for this one, but you can play the numbers game, run away. It's going to be a stack up behind this cover. Out towards Shopping Mall. Can't find one, and they should have time to stop this. And disarm the decryptor. Gibson. Everything looked near perfect for the offense, but that late rotation down towards the bottom of the map. Double, they're going to breach through that wall, that C4. They got a perfect flank, and Shilla's shotgun symphony finding 2. Absolutely perfect defense. Open us up here on Shopping Mall.
Nah, that Winnie shotgun in the hands of Collision has been the star of the show so far, and it just goes to show, it doesn't matter what the title, what the game, if you have a shotgun in a close quarter situation, you're normally going to come up trumps. And with that, the defenders win a game. Have we had a game yet tonight where the defenders haven't taken the opening round?
Oh,
I don't think so.
I
think
don't
we've had
believe so.
Perfect rotate.
Of course, this is a brand new map which has been added in very recent memory, Gibson. And actually, one thing, not just the map's been added, but what else gives it? Of course, this demo is live on Steam. Of course, you want to go and get yourselves into this action, just type in PUBG BLINDSPOT into Steam and make sure you get on the download for this one. You can jump into this action and, of course, wishlist to keep yourself in the loop of all the recent updates.
I heard that Mark said that if you download the game or put it on your wishlist and tweet at Mark, he will play a game with you. That's what I heard.
You know what? I've also heard, Gibson, you'll do that too. So that's tremendous.
And you.
Oh.
Is this the new version of a giveaway? Show us you've wished it to the game and you might get a chance to play with some irrelevant casters.
Yeah, some damage done very, very early. Unsure of the sources, I was waffling away with
it was explosive.
Thank you very much for that one. As you see, a flurry made just trying to buy that space, and there's going to be opening pick yet again. Zez finds that one. Tur is going to be the first to fall, extended out toward the northern side of this map. Bodies surrounding B in this defense. Looking just to crack their way in this one. Windows broken, trying to clear line of sight, but Shilla is going to be on that shotgun yet again. Just looks to have an impact with that up close and personal.
10,000 days down to 1 HP. They don't have the ability, though, with Fnatic to get the HP back up. As CC with the MK14 will find a kill. Zek swings around the corner, though, with the MP5 and finds Baron. bring us back into a 3 versus 3. But 2 of those attackers' HP has seen better days. But a great nade from UTK will find Shilla and also find an avenue of access into B. UTK with another one, forcing those defenders back, and it's all down to Asnia. Now, Asnia, with the P90, has the opportunity to get the HP back up, gets himself one, gets himself another one on the round, but there's still 2 to deal with. Defensive trap. If they walk through that door, the trip mine will go off and find another freebie, but Asnia is electing to bring the fight to the attackers. Blue Zone Nade will not cut off the swing and will get the kill on the Zex as well. Is this going to be a huge play from Asnia? P90 at the ready. P90 does it. A 4K, and he's going to get the decryptor. Great round from the defenders as they take a 2-0 lead.
Incredible individual moment, finding that clutch to BZ grenade as well, just not covering the corner, allowing a late swing out to the wounded attacker who just couldn't sneak back in towards the crypt, finding it on map point as the defense now swap off Gibson now. This is where things are going to get very, very interesting. You move on towards that side swap, a dominant opening half for our defensive side. Can they get one on the offense to get across that finish line? They look to be very dominant. They have the gun skill to get that job done, but now the map works against them. Lineup-wise, like everything that they brought out so far from this, but the only question is maybe, can they use that destruction hands of Carnival to really get themselves access in the side?
I hope so. Like, you and I are on the same board. We really like Carnival. Yeah. I like Carnival more so as an attacker than a defender.
Why is that, Gibson?
Because you've just got the ability to take down the walls really quickly. It's simple as that. You know, you don't have to shoot them.
Big hammer,
yes.
simple as. Wall gone. Bosh.
Name anyone out there who just, doesn't see a big hammer and goes, that's a bit of me. I like that.
I mean, I honestly, I see a hammer, I'm like, yeah, I want to pick that up. I want to hit a wall with it.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's sold. I'm a Carnival enjoyer from now on. But getting back into the game, UTK, the front line of that defense. We'll hear the shots from Baron Peak. Peeks across and gets the opening kill on the CC. This is a really big opening pick for the defenders because they need this round. This is map point here for the attacking side.
Untraded as well, able to just fall back in towards Classroom. Just holding on a little bit longer. And again, a very spread offensive lineup. They've not really committed themselves to play around the trades. And this is going to leave a 1 versus 1. UTK and Baron just a little bit by themselves. Using that rifle best they can to open up a line of sight through that soft destructible wall. Body stacking up and a good crossfire should be established here. But seemingly, they do not have the information that they need to make things work here. Zed's in a great position. Somewhat barricaded in that room behind barbed wire. Tur's going to find UTK, and there's that trade, a little bit delayed from earlier, but eventually shutting that down. Job done, though, even though he does lose his life, that roam out towards the other side of the map, just delaying enough and taking 1 life with him. HE goes out, Zed's going to lose that barbed wire for security. Second one tossed out, combination with that BZ, perfect timing! Shilla gets that one locked out, and that's going to be another massive pick for the offensive side. Advantage with them in terms of numbers. Can they cascade a little bit more? Get themselves even closer to sight. 60 seconds, lots of time still to work with.
Oh, the shotgun, though, from Cyphus will manage to get one. The Winchester singing on an off angle here as Terzkov gets the kill. Advantage still with the attackers. 3 versus 2 as the last 2 defenders have fallen back on A. If Terzkov gets this wall open, they can get that decryptor down inside of B, and there's not a lot the defenders can do with the utility that they have. But it's more like the defenders, they don't have the utility you need to stop this from going down. Now, 10,000 Days will try to get one to get the wall open as Asnia finds another. This game's done with it. I don't see 10,000 Days pulling off this clutch, and we'll see a win here for Team Shilla. We should do.
We should do is somewhat shooting fish in the barrel. BZ United's not quite good enough to get that pick guaranteed. Does seem have no real option. A jump shot to wrap things up. As Turs gets that done. A flawless 3-0 victory, Gibson. What a massive result from that one. I have to say, I was very, very impressed with everything we saw. The early round of that was fantastic as well. Working to get themselves that trade back after losing that opening pick. And a massive performance there. Gibby, any highlights from you?
Honestly, that last round, I'm going to... well, obviously we got the 4K earlier on. You know, that was definitely, from Asnia, that was definitely a play worth talking about. But a highlight for me is that last round, right? They all entered the building from different locations, isolating 1 versus 1 gunfights. But once we got about 30 seconds in, they all started to group together and picked a site to go with. That's my highlight. Before we go back to the desk, though, what's yours?
Oh, Gibby, you got yeah. The big thing for me is gonna be that shotgun play. Listen, the way that worked perfectly, swing it out, absolutely. Listen, there's nothing I love more than a little bit of success with some 12 gauge. I cannot lie, Gibby.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. That Winchester is coming up clutch once more. And you know who else has been coming up clutch? The guys at the desk. Mark Falix, talk us through Game 3.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, look, it's the first time actually we get to see the new map. Really interesting. Longer corridors, lots of longer engagements, but that shotgun, we come back to the shotgun yet again. Collision being that impactful character these guys are selecting. I'm surprised we've not really seen Kayak, though, also with a shotgun. But I think before we even get into the characters, Felix, we've got to talk about, was that a 1v4 scenario? Asnia, P90, deleting people.
Yeah, we saw Michael do it a couple of times here and there, you know, get some clutch, some spicy clutches into the mix, but that was something that I haven't seen up until this point, at least not today. I don't even think we've seen a 1v4 in the last stream invitational, so we got to give it up for Asnia. What a great performance as well, how well he handled this, and especially in a game like this, right? It's top-down view, as we said. That kind of eliminates the fact that if you shoot at someone, he hasn't got the chance to shoot back. So that makes it a way more tougher experience to actually get these clutches down, and maybe even a little bit more special, like in this regard. And it's definitely secured them one of the most important rounds in that entire matchup. But also, we got to give it up for both of these teams. The big Turkish matchup, that's something that we haven't really talked about, that storyline between these two teams, one of which has now been beat for the first time.
Yeah, and well, it's their first loss as well, isn't it, right, so far this evening? So being maybe reminded, maybe it was the new map, Felix, maybe it was a new way, maybe they had not as many reps, we say, because we do know that team has been really practicing for the last couple of days. They've been working down on the gameplay. There's a lot more of, obviously, results that have been coming in. We'll give you a quick update, though, on the scoreboard. I just want to talk about characters before that, though. As I said, we've not seen Kayak. He's not been really produced, and actually, shotguns were so big so far, even in all three games, they've been a sort of highlight. Do you think we're going to see the second new character be used this maybe second half of this invitational?
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, you bring up a great point. Fence is the only thing that we've seen from these new characters, and even Fence hasn't really been played regularly so far, right? It's mostly the characters that we've seen in the last stream invitational as well a couple of weeks ago. So I'm surprised to see that happen, and I think it's mostly the fact that some of these teams, as we've said as well, they have prepared, they have kind of, you know, adjusted the most for the characters they've played up until this point, and that's obviously not the newest ones, right? So they've kind of got this combination of utility plays, for example, down, and bringing someone new in might not be the best case scenario now that it's actually down to, you know, you trying to get prize money. So I think it might just be a preparation case, and we've seen this as well in this game, right? Blue zone grenades and nades, even on a map like this where you've said it yourself, right? Longer corridors should, in theory, make it tougher to hit some of these nades. Really not the case. They've been preparing themselves for this exact map as well for this day, and it's absolutely showed in the last game as well. So many utility plays, so much utility eliminations as well, that I don't think we've seen in the last couple of games as much. So got to give it up for the two Turkish teams, and I could very well imagine that we might see them tomorrow clash it off again further into this tournament.
Do you think it's a final? Do you think that's a final one? Very quick question, yes or no on that one. Do you think they could be the final matchup?
Too tough to tell. I'm not. No.
Oh, nearly cornered you there. Nearly cornered you.
Oh, yeah,
like,
you almost got me, but no.
Let's talk about that you two, because you called it out. And we obviously we waffle away, guys, during the break. We get to talk. We get to talk to players. Go, oh my god, that's amazing! Like you guys. Obviously the BZ nade to one corner, and then the nade to the others. They try and breach their way through. That's really good play. Leaderboard starting to make a little bit of a change. Sheila's team, though, has made it back up to the top. But now we've got 3 teams here, Felix. 2 wins under the belt, but 1 loss.
Yeah, but I think what this shows also is that everyone's competitive, and that's most surprising to me, right? Everyone's won a game. Everyone's won a map off of someone, especially in such a quick series. That's not always a given, I want to say. It could very well work heavily against you if you're not careful in the first couple of rounds. Maybe if you lose a couple of rounds on defender side, especially where we said, you know, most of these teams do have a little bit of an easier job finding a footing in a game, but so far it's not really been a swipe for everyone, neither inside the rounds nor on the total leaderboard. So that's what I'm most surprised to see.
We say a swipe. Some of the scoreboards, we get to obviously see some pictures, guys, from the scoreboards coming through. Retention got 9 kills. 9 kills to 2 deaths. Felix, that is an insane amount. Accuracy, definitely up there, 22.9%. That is huge as well, as you'll dig out this scoreboard. I've got them flying in, mate. It's like stats and facts coming at me thick and fast, mate. Damage, though, 517 damage, nearly as good as Michael obviously putting on. But that there's a big standout for me.
Yeah.
I do worry when I see results like that. Does a team just rely on one, maybe two people? I'm a bit worried when it comes down to that. I'd like to see more teams spread across the kills and put their roar in, should we say, when it comes down to getting a victory. But God, 9 kills, that's impressive.
I mean, it's surprising to me that we have this. That we even have scorelines like this on individual players, because as we've said, right, there's so much competition in between these teams, so many players with so much esports experience that you'd think, right, on direct aim fights and direct competition, no one's really got the drop on another, at least not mechanically, not in a top-down view shooter like this. So it's surprising to me that we still have scorelines like this being put up. Retention out-fragging Puka Molodoi 9-1 in his own team. I mean, that's something that I personally didn't expect, and it wasn't based off of the rounds being too easy for them. No, they actually made it really close. As we said, 2-3 was the score in the end. They just barely got away with a win. So surprising to me, to say the least. To answer your question, no, I don't think so. I think we're going to see a little bit of a leveling the more and the further we go into this tournament, because stuff like we've seen from Michael or Asnia, it's not happening every round.
No, it's not. And what's everyone playing for? Prize pool. That's the key. Massive split, though. And 6-7-5-0 will be going across to both the EMEA and then obviously also the same as we reset a little bit later for the NA. $2,000 up for grabs for first. 1,500, 750 down to third. We're going to be all the way, so everyone is going to be getting money in their back pocket. But do you know what you need to get in your back pocket? Well, that is to get onto Steam. Go download the demo now. Get yourself on PUBG BLINDSPOT's demo. But while you're there, Felix, while you're there, make sure you get over to the main game and hit that wish list, because it is key. So that's where you're going to get all the information. We're going to take a quick break, though. When we come back, though, it'll be round number 4 or 5. We might even be able to squeeze a little cheeky 6. Let me just twist the arms of the production team if we get another one back in their board. But take a quick break. When we come back, all of you would have then hit that wish list, and we'll see you guys in round number 5.
Welcome back in, everyone, to the PUBG BLINDSPOT EMEA Invitational. Gibson and Whippet here. We are 3 games deep in a 5-round night. Potentially 6, Whippet, if we have a tie between 2nd and 3rd. But it's safe to say these games have been fun to watch, and I can't get over how quickly they go by.
They have been incredibly quick for this one, Gibson, but you know what? That is that fast adrenaline you want in this one. I actually, speak of quick, Gibby, I don't think it's going to be even too long before we can get ready for game number 4 today going this one. And I'm very excited for this. We've seen these teams get better and better as this day went on so far. Learning, understanding, and knowledge of this game have got better and better. I cannot wait to see what they can cook up by the time that we see game number 5 and even the games up tomorrow.
And I wonder as well how much of these teams are learning from every game they play. So at every single round, there is 3 games going on concurrently. We're going to broadcast one. There's 2 other games as well. Teams are going to learn things and pick up things that are OP and bring them into the very next game. So as we go into this one, it will be Team Laura taking on, you know, a very impressive Team Gagod that we saw playing a little bit earlier. Whippet, as we move to Mansion, our next map, we look at those lineups, and I'm looking at the defenders, and I'm seeing more I'm seeing the shotgun again. You just can't go without it.
You beat me to the punch there, Gibson. I'll go on. The big thing, though, to me is going to be Fuzzface on the offensive lineup on Laura's team. And the big thing is going to be bring out the Hinds. Now, we've mentioned it time and time again. I don't know if we've seen Hinds being necessarily used the most effectively, of course. Drill drone's going to be in the back pocket for that primary utility. And what that job is of that utility is, again, you can launch it onto a surface and you can get information on what lurks behind it, what's in those rooms. Getting visibility before you get into these engagements can be incredibly important for this. And Gagod on the shotgun yet again with those trip mines scattered around the map. Those trip mines make you have to consider every step. It can make it very dangerous, but more importantly, he's got that shotgun in hand and he might be the front line for this one, as that direct wall straight into the crypt of B gives them access, and that's going to be the decryptor in the hands of Marek, very, very close, looking to get the entryway as Michael hops on board. He's going to try and jump on out. He's going to look to get aggressive and perhaps a little bit too aggressive. 2 bodies stacked up, and well, Adriana gets that one for free. Michael, aggression doesn't work out this time around.
Not the first time tonight we've seen Michael do that, but Fuzzface and Gaxi will try to catch out Liquids, and Gaxi will find the kill with the AK. Now it's back to a 5 versus 3 now, as Team Laura take advantage. BZ Nade will find Gagod as well, as Fuzzface will clean that one up, leaving it down to Atomical and Cappy. Stacked together, playing inside of each other's pocket at the back, but Marsalek with the smoke might go to get the decryptor down. Laura coming under heavy fire will get caught out, but the decryptor goes down. And now the defenders become the attackers. Fuzzface playing close and personal now at the ready. And I think this is unwinnable, and it is. Adriana with a double, 3 on the round, and the attackers take it.
Opening round going for the offensive favor, massive boon here. And the biggest thing, Gibson, I'm going to lean into this one, is going to be a little bit, you know, did Michael need to jump outside like that one? Listen,
yes.
I appreciate... okay, listen, you're going to back your guy, you know? You're the PUBG guy for this one, so I can be the heel in this circumstance. Don't jump out that early, you don't know what you're facing. But, interesting stat line coming in from this is that is the very first time that we've seen the offense win the opening round of today's matchup. So, can they keep that running? Can we see an offense go 2 up here, get themselves on a map point, and sit in that very cozy position with map point on the defense with a blanket around to get the job done?
Well, but here's the thing. Fuzzface on Hinds, if he can get that camera there and spot the fact that there's one player playing inside of B, even if it is the shotgun, you play the trade. You swing 2 players around, you clear that site, you use the smoke, you can get the case down. So I think that option's on the board. So Marsalek and Fuzzface should play together as a 2, but of course, as is always the way, once we say something like that, we'll see Fuzzface get taken down by Michael, who gets aggressive on the peak, and Michael's going for a double dip. Adriana, who got a 3k in the last round, coming under heavy pressure. Gas grenade goes out, forces Cappy to go for the swing. Cappy will get traded back, but Whippet, it is a 3 versus 4.
Galaxy now steps up next to the plate for this one. Michael, I'm a fan of this one. Passion, aggression, all in combination. But deciding to fall back for a little bit as the front lines form out towards B. The decryptor yet again knocking on the door. Atomical will be tasked with that defense. Stacks around half wall. Looks at aggressive. Couldn't find that pick. And the end just biding their time now. Laura looks to get knock on the door of sight directly. Tantalizingly close. Not got that direct access. Maybe waiting for Gagod to make a flank here. Just holding still. Holding passive in that cover. behind box, but the defense here can just sit still. Primarily Impact sent out. And bit by bit, this offense begins to crumble. Limited HP to work with.
Yeah, Marsalek took most of the brunt of that impact as well, as he's down to just the 1 HP. The motion detector will be thrown into the middle of the B crypt now as well, so Marsalek and Laura will reposition this. Now, Laura does have medkits, so get that down, get Marsalek back up to as much HP as possible. That, of course, is the special ability of Fnatic, along with having the P90 on the other side. But one of the people that's actually stepped up to the fray a little bit more is that new operator, bringing the AK. It's good to see the new characters of the game get some playtime as well.
Yeah, tremendously is again. What I'm looking at here, is we have a very difficult choke point. You have to walk around this corner with 30 seconds left. You don't have a lot of time to go for a variety of options. Gaxi is finally going to get themselves an engagement, but they can't bring that party to the carnival as Michael shuts it down, finds a second now, and looking to charge straight into the fray here. But the crypt at A has been left vulnerable, but the reinforcements just simply sit there, blocked out by utility and caught out by Michael. It's going to be a massive round of topical, wraps things up, and the defense bring themselves back to level. 1 round apiece.
Yeah, the defenders managed to pull it back, so it's the side swap now. So big round for the defenders. Can Team Laura hold back the line? I'm going to say this. I've noticed from the last time we saw Team Laura play to this time, we're seeing a bit more usage of drop down. Bringing the M4. I think using those gas grenades like the BZs is a really useful tool. But with the M4, with the fact that it has that little bit less recoil from distance, you know, it's brought more of a mid to long range weapon. I think we're seeing a lot of value come out of that weapon as well.
I actually could not agree more with you. Actually going to swap Gaga off the shotgun as well this time as well. Going on a side swap, of course, wants to bring a utility with a little bit more variety. As I mentioned at verbatim, or at ends at this point. Going to be bringing out those drill drones coming into it and barricading off these doorways. Of course, you have limited resources to work with from this as well. Barbed wires out towards the choke point. This is a very intricate defense that we've seen from Laura's team so far. This is actually the most utility extended out towards this northern side of the map that we've seen in a very long time. 3-2 stack up seems to be intent yet again. And this is a very nasty chokehold. Again, you can get yourself in here and the drone goes out and they're going to have information there. So they're going to have that cone of vision directly in the side. But Adriana and Laura can just play around it and they're not going to get themselves detected. Heichi into no regard as well. Second one tossed out. Combination with that drill drone. C4 as well for good measure.
Oh, double.
And they're just going to double stack that one out. It seems like it's going to be very clear frontline swarming. But again, if you walk in through that window, that angle is so nasty to walk on. You've got to go deep. You've got to clear your corners. And it's not going to be easy to pie every position from that as you want to get as much vision as possible. Fuzzface seemingly alone on A. 2 bodies making their way out towards that. A smoke grenade or a BZ goes out. That will find some free damage.
Yeah, Laura right on top of that nade as Gagod will trade back the kills. Laura found Atomical. He was pushing aggressively towards site, but those triple C4s will be worth keeping an eye on. Michael and Cappy working on the other side. Barbed wire, Fuzzface, and Gaxi in the way as Gaxi just about gets through the barbed wire with no damage dealt, but Fuzzface with the automatic shotgun will take down Michael. We said that the shotguns at close range can be very dangerous indeed. Smoke Whip, I think, maybe went a little bit too deeper than Cappy would like, but he still manages to get across. But Fuzzface with the automatic shotgun right behind Cappy could be trouble. But Cappy with the MP5 finds Adriana, but just as we spoke, Marsalek and Fuzzface combined. Down goes Cappy, and it is a 3v2, making it 3v1.
Gagot alone. Expect big things. If potential clutches there, has to find that opening pick again. 35 seconds. Find some early damage, just a chip, but that's just going to reveal his position, and it's going to be like a swarm of sharks sensing blood in the water. He's going to go a complete back flank, shut down by Gaxi, and it is going to be the defensive victory, moving themselves onto map point here for game number 4.
Yeah, I'm liking the way this game is changing. You know, a good bounce back from the side. They're on defense now. Can they see it out with the final round? Remember, it is 1st to 3 if you're just joining us now. Both teams will get, you know, should get 2 rounds each on each side, unless we get a clean sweep and stop. Because we're going to get 3-0, ends it. So it's
we did see a 3-0 early on in game 3 as well.
That's fitting.
You're right, very much. The first actually sweep that we've had on the broadcast here for this matchup. So, diving into what could be our very final one here on Mansion B. And of course, if you've been watching us from the very beginning, you'll notice, man, this is the second time we've played Mansion. Well, no, it's not. It's actually Mansion B. Other layer of it. Separate layouts, or separate bomb positions. So, or separate crypt positions. And the idea here is, of course, you're going to extend across the map. You know, vision C4. Already pre-placed. Combination with that barricaded up doorway. What is Fuzzface cooking up there in the hallway? Out towards 90. What's he cooking?
You ever see those scenes where people run away from like multiple explosions going off in war films?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we're about to see. Cappy will open up the door. I think that you'll hear information. Laura should be listening for the footsteps as the first one of those eyes are sent out, scanning B. And I like this. Adriana just seems to know how far the cone of vision is. Staying outside of that cone of vision, keeping yourself unknown. They're there. Push the button. Fuzzface.
No. No. Detonation of the detonation just a fraction of a second too late. Gaxi has took some early damage from his opening engagement so far. Looking to creep their way in. Hammer from Carnival goes out, cracks open the barricade in the doorway, but Adriana behind that deployable shield is going to be able to cause absolute chaos. Just able to sit there and wait for pressure to arrive. Toxic gas as well in back pocket to choke out this play. And all 5 members of the offensive Gago's team look ready to storm themselves in. HG out behind that, but still no vision to the back of this room yet. A second grenade might be good enough, and it is. Liquids finds it, and this case should go down. Cover is good. Second for Liquids, and a flurry for the offense. Retake is needed, and can Fuzzface find a way back in this one? Choked out, and that cone of vision denies it. He can't sneak his way past this.
Blue zone nades will dissipate soon, but Fuzzface with the automatic shotgun will get another kill. Atomical does not want to get within the kill radius of that shotgun. Time ticking away though to get onto that cryptor and swing from Cappy with the MP5. We'll take him down. Fuzzface, another one with the automatic shotgun, but needs to find 2 more. Gagod will peek. Fuzzface will fire. The cross, not really being held as effective. Cappy would want to get a little bit closer here to play off of each other's trade. Fuzzface steps up, and yeah, there. Cappy took the few extra steps that were needed, gets the kill, and we are going to overtime.
Single round shootout to get things wrapped up. Second time we've needed this one, so every single round of regulation and +1 needed to get things confirmed for this one. Scoreline wise, Fuzzface has been leading the charge, but a lot of those might have come from consolation kills from the consolation picks from the previous matchup. Michael again has had impact through and through, but everything very well distributed across these teams. As we get ready for our very last matchup here on Mansion B, and Gagod's roster starting on the defensive side. An intrinsic advantage they've got this time, but not bringing out the shotgun that we expect from them. Fnatic in the hands of Atomical is going to be very important to get themselves topped up in terms of HP, as I'm going to say, expect Michael to go for something very aggressive from a spawn point early.
Really? You think Michael's going to go for the spawn with the M4 again?
I have a sneaking suspicion that Michael's intention is to very, 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 very quickly get into a very aggressive position and find a pick. Well, actually, perhaps I might be proven a little bit wrong, Michael. I think being put on the leash a little bit now until sit back and can be more important later on in these rounds. Early damage done towards this barricade. They're going to get themselves an entryway. Knocking on the door of A early. That does seem to be the opening intention. As you see the Carnival Hammer crack open that wall as Gaxi gets themselves an initial entryway.
Yeah, and I think that we need to see the operators that Michael's using, like drop shot, play closer to site because of the toxic gas that you can throw out. Now, okay, just sprint on into site, but Liquids with the M249 holding the window, and the BZ nade will hold back the push. Nade thrown deep, but bounces just out of the way of Liquid. 4 attackers now moving over to this section of the map as another BZ is thrown. Fuzzface got to get out of there, down to 1 HP, but Laura will drop the medkit, so Fuzzface should be able to get back up to at least 75 HP for the rest of this game. Impact hits Adriana down to 10 HP, but look at this. Atomical and Gagod. Oh, yeah. He caught that one. Adriana's just been obliterated by an impact grenade.
Third impact toss through this, and well, running out of options on the offensive side of Laura's team now. 3 versus 5. Gas grenade goes out, tries to choke things out. And they're running out of ideas, but they're just going to charge in. Wait a second. Gaxi might have to stick this one. How's he managed that then? Decryptor goes down, finds himself traded off. Cappy gets it, but this might be the moment of chaos that they so desperately need. HE goes out. Will it be enough to shut down Michael? Forces him in towards Fuzzface, charging in, but only to be shut down by Gargod. And it's all down to Laura now. Team captain HE goes out. Should buy one, leaving Gargod with a whimper of HP left. But he's going to try and get this counter defuse going off. Swing needs to be there. Swing needs to be perfect, but the cover is there. Liquid shuts it down. Counter defuse is there, and it will be a victory for the roster behind Gargod.
Isn't it fitting that we get you to shout Liquid get the win at some point on the night, Whippet, as the game is won 3-2 on the scoreline. Valiant effort there from Laura's team, but credit to Gargod. They got the win. They were the more proactive, hyperactive team, I suppose you could say, over the course of that game. But look at the kill feed. We saw Michael having a big impact in the first time we saw this team today. Michael and Cappy, both with 5 kills on the board, 4 assists each. And, you know, you could say a lot. Yes, Atomical didn't get a lot of kills. Liquids got a couple, but they got their kills by themselves. No assists on the board for them. They were clinical whenever they did get the chance to pick them up.
Cappy with 555 damage as well. 14% headshot ratio, 11% accuracy, you'll be able to find that impact again. But again, Gibson, the big thing we'll talk about is that case going down. That the Cryptor in that final round, they're able to sneak in and plant it. And again, the moment you give vision up, the moment you're not looking in towards your objective, all of a sudden, you leave the door wide open. And that's what we saw. Gaxie's able to charge on in, get that Decryptor down, and well, Laura was left alone to make things work in that post plan. But those narrow margins when you create chaos are when you can seize opportunity, and we nearly saw that. That if you had one more player alive, you could have had that clutch up, and that could have been a very different result at the end of the day.
It very easily could have been a different result, but as the days progress with it, we're seeing more and more utility used. Teams are realizing those nades, those impacts, the smokes, the blue zone nades are a vital part of the kit of your attacking and defensive lineup. And when you're not just focused on the guns, that is all that really matters.
Well, Gibson, you shouldn't be focused on us anymore because we have our wonderful desk ready to break things down for that one. Take it away, desk.
Gibson, you couldn't have said it better, mate. We need to talk about utility. Alex, before we just get onto that one pin, the first time we saw the attacking team actually take the win, was that based down to utility or just strong gameplay?
I think it was more down to them not really realizing, we've got a completely different map at hand now. We're not really sure what to expect, where to expect certain stuff, and I feel like that was a textbook example of this, right? These teams haven't faced off yet on this map, and it really did show. They weren't exactly sure where they were really trying to get that first contact from. You saw Gargod and these guys be aggressive here and there and get countered on it as well. Michael especially being in deep, deep trouble for one of the very first times. Right, he overextended that towards the outsides of the house in the first place. That's something that we haven't really seen. Even not even Gaxi has kind of treaded all the way outside. So something that's definitely really interesting to watch in the next couple of games, whether or not that aggressive push is really going to come in handy again. And doing that without util as well, and that's the second big point that you've just mentioned, right? It isn't just any util either now. For the very first time, we saw 2 people now playing with impact grenades as well. I don't think we've seen this today. So it's not just Blue Zones grenades, it's not just flashbangs, it's not just usual grenades, it's impact grenades as well that are now chiming into the mix. And it was very effective at that as well. Very often they knew exactly where the players on the other side were. And if you do have an impact grenade, yes, it's not as strong in terms of how much damage deal, but if you know where a player is, it's guaranteed damage. And that's exactly what happened. 2 or 3 times you saw players being taken down to 40, maybe 50 HP just by impact grenades alone. And especially on the rounds where we saw the defense kind of being pushed back into the decryption sites itself, into the crypts, they use these impact grenades even smarter, because at that point, you know, there's just very certain, very few choke points that enemy has to push through to get to the crypt, and at that point, impact grenades become all the more stronger. So really, really interesting strategic play that we haven't seen up until this point.
Definitely good to be seen coming into this. It's quite early on. I thought we might see maybe more impact grenades come tomorrow in the finals, but there was something else we saw, Felix. The first time we got to see Kayak, he came out in force. Gargod had another bit of util himself as he did launch out that C4. It wasn't quite effective as we did expect it, but it's good to see the player at least come in, and actually from an attacking side as well. He used a shotgun on an offensive.
Yeah, a little bit. I would have loved to see it a little bit more, because I'm still not sure. This is one of the very few characters that I haven't played myself. I'm still kind of torn in between. Obviously, I've played him a couple of times, but not really that much in action. I haven't really seen how good the shot can actually be and where it really excels. So I'm trying to see more come out from the players that have obviously prepared for this, especially prepared in the constellations of the team in general throughout the last couple of weeks. So yeah, definitely interested to see Carrick being used a little bit more. Same for Fence. I know we said Fence was the first one that we've now seen out of new characters, but it's literally just been that once again. So I'm trying to see both maybe now head on in the next couple of matches, maybe even head on head to head next couple of matches as well. I think that'd be interesting, especially the new abilities as well. I think Fence especially can be so very impactful, especially when it comes to defense.
Yeah, because you get that sort of information gathering because it sort of pulses where the players are. And as the players move, the
M249
pulse
as well. I
continues.
mean,
Yeah. As long as you can control the recoil, that's the big thing. Well, one thing we can't control is that all of you guys and girls running out there and making sure you get onto Steam and get the demo downloaded. I want to see you in the lobby with me and Felix Bilayas. We will test things out and, more importantly, go hit that wish list because the rapid fire shotgun hasn't given us the rapid fire that we expected, but we're going to fire ourselves over to a quick break. And when we come back, it is match number 5, unless we need a decider. See you guys in a few.
And welcome back in, everyone. And this is the final scheduled game to be broadcasted in the EMEA region tonight, Whippet. But if we have a tie after this, there might just be an extra game for the viewers' pleasure later on.
You know what, Gibson? I'd love to sit back and relax and get ready for North America later on, but you know what? An extra game of this, I would be very much down for this one. Our standings as they look going into matchup number 5, what could be, as you mentioned, our very last one of the evening, Gibson. How's things shaping up for you? What is this looking like?
Yeah, 10,000 Days side on 3 wins is no surprise. Shilla's team as well on 3. So, in reality, we're looking to see if Gagod or Laura's side can get a result in the next game to bring them up to the magic number of 3 as well. But if 10,000 Days and Shilla's team get the wins, they will be in those top 2 spots locked in. But I'm looking a little bit lower, right? Because if that's the case, and we're looking about seeding, remember 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th will go into the quarterfinals tomorrow. 1st and 2nd get that bye. Which of those matchups do you think could be the most favorable? Because we saw Pokemalotti's team once, and they lost, I think they lost that one. I can't remember if it was overtime or whether it was a 3-1 loss.
I believe it was a 3-1 loss.
I think it was 3-1, and with that game, they showed a little bit on the early stages of rounds, but I think coming to the end of the rounds, they got caught out a little. I think that I want to see improvements for them if they're our next broadcasted game.
You know what? I'd like to see that as well. And again, Laura's side, again, I was very impressed what we saw from that one, the previous matchup in near clutch in that very final round of overtime. They were just so tantalizingly close to it. Couldn't get across the finish line for that one. But Gibby, the big thing for me going to this one is that we look at this final matchup as we get ready for the dive in this one, and everyone's kind of tied up in little sections. We got 3 wins, 2 wins, 1 win all around. It's very, very close in our standings.
It is. It is, like I said, a win for 3rd or 4th and a dropped point from the time at the top will get them into that playoff that gets them to bye directly towards the semi-final. But this is, of course, PUBG Blind Spot. And what we want you guys to do, if you're enjoying watching the games, is to go to Steam. The demo is available for free right now. And if you like it, make sure to wishlist it to find out when the game comes out. This is one of those games where it was at first... it had my curiosity, but the more I've watched it, it's got my interest now. It really does.
When I initially saw it, it was like, you've got my interest, you've got my curiosity, now you're getting the claws in for this one, Gibson. Listen, I love this style of game coming into it, I love the isometric point of view going into it, and the big thing for me is that interplay of utility, gunplay, and movement. The big thing for me is, you see other titles where gunplay can often be the punish side of things. You're not allowed to express yourself in gunplay. You can see players very much utilizing it. We see for example, characters with the P90 getting brought out time and time again, drop shot with the M4 having massive success with just the end of the rifle, always able to have that danger. And again, we see the M249 be a very useful tool as well. Gunplay is rewarded just as much utility, and I absolutely love every game that we've seen so far. As we get ready for this one, Gibson, matchup number 5. It's going to be Warehouse A for what could be our very final matchup of the evening here in EMEA.
Yeah, and a reminder as well, but something to point out, this is a game, accuracy gets brought up at the end of the game. We get those stats. You're in a isometric view and you wonder to yourself, well, how do we determine the difference between headshots, body shots, and legs? You can change that manually yourself using the mouse scroll wheel as to whether you're aiming at head height, whether you're aiming at body height, and whether or not you're crouched as well impacts that. So movement, standing position, all of these things affect your recoil, which I think is a nice touch, because I've seen isometric games in the past where it's just 100% accuracy, the bullets go where you click. It is nice to see a game where little things like that impact your aim.
It's not simply click and win on your opposition, of course. You have to aim that. There are weapon blooms as well. At range, you got more accuracy with your sniper rifles. You got better accuracy out towards that mid-range with your ARs. And, well, everybody should know this already, but your SMG shotguns, they're going to dominate in that up-close position, diving straight into this one, Gibson. A big thing already as we get into this one, Warehouse A, our matchup of this one, is the proximity that we see Crypt B to having direct access from the external side. You've only got around one wall to walk into, and again, you can go straight from loading dock into this position as Gaxi looks to be toying with the idea of running out early and looking to find someone in this car park, and well, waiting patiently for that moment. Might be able to find that if they're caught napping. And do they know to check this, as 1,000 Days is there for that one, and some early damage done. HG to follow things up as well, as I think a wise decision from Gaxi to retreat back to towards site. And again, Laura's going to have that med pack ready for him as well that he can use.
Yeah, look, Gaxi's already gone straight back towards Laura, and will get it up. But another thing to point, these sites are not connected by a wall. There is a corridor, a long corridor separating the two sites, which impacts how this one will play. Says now inside the building, looking towards Marslek as they trade damage back and forward, and Gaxi will hit him on the flank with the MK14. Marslek now turning his attention to UTK and Cyphus as the two attackers start to line up by the solo door, but the nade will do a lot of damage onto the shield, but Marslek kept it in the back pocket for a moment like this.
Mid-round deploy for this, and he's going to be having just enough cover to avoid that drone drill. The shot sent out wildly through that wall, but the breach is good. And access given. He'll push out towards waiting room, looking to find some chaos from that. HE tossed out, but not the full avail. Great pick there as Fuzzface up close and personal as SMG finds UTK. Out towards lockers, Cyphus a little bit in a difficult position, knowing that he's got a player just ahead of him. 10,000 days will find that trade all towards Fuzzface. Gaxi's MK14 fires off, and Ceph is next to go, and leaving us in a very difficult position for the offensive lineup. It's going to be a 4 versus 2. One pick needs to go their way. Double stack up there. Gaxi gets that credit. 3 streak for him. Looks to find more success. It looks to be all but over now. Stun grenade go. BZ goes out. Tries to hunt him down. Gaxi finding himself a 4K. Everything revolved around that MK14. The defense, as per usual, find themselves the opening round here.
Yeah, and that was a 4v1 at the end as well. So that was it wasn't a flawless round win, but it was certainly a dominant one. And remember, this is one of the teams with 10,000 days team that are 3-1. They've had a very good day so far. Laura's team, if I'm not wrong, Whippet, they're one of the teams in the hunting pack. They're one of the teams that if they win this game against 10,000 days, they'll be on a level record and they'll force that playoff for the semi-final bye.
You are correct, actually, Gibson. They're getting very close to that position. They need this victory. Lots on the line for them. But they are on the offensive side. Now, it's not impossible to win on the offense. And I think when you might build this as a defense, is often we might build it as it's impenetrable. You can't beat them. You can, quite easily. But it's going to revolve around a lot more coordination with the utility that you bring. The big thing for me is you need to have a lot of BZs and you have a lot of HGs to clear positions. Now, they've went for a full stack. They have full stack 10 grenades to work with in combination with their unique abilities to try and clear control. Now, what these HGs are going to be great at is when you have a rough idea where someone is, you can lob it in. You can use those grenades straight in towards corners when you don't have line of sight, and you can use that to assume control. Also forces a dilemma of if you want to move out of cover or tank that grenade. You can't tank that grenade, so you're going to be forced to move. So very key to have, and they have lots of options to make that one work. Combination with operators or characters such as Hines for extra information through those walls could be very devious, and that's going to be deployed out utility just to make sure that corner is clear.
Well, but look at the information game. With the motion detectors from Cyphus plus the wall cams that are brought to the play by Hines, you've got a lot of intel that you can gather for this team. Another one thrown towards Laura. But think about this as you would, how you've got, characters that are for entry, characters that are more support-based, characters that are flex ones. You have got Mankurt, and I would argue Says, as your two entry-focused players. They're the ones with the utility that does most of that work, but Says, of course, with those blue zone nades, can clear a lot of space very fast. Now here's that first gunfight. Adriana with the M4 gets one. There's a double. Might find the triple, but Cyphus with the M249 will answer back. Access towards Crypt A has now been gathered, but Gaxi on the long angle with the MK will find Zez. 10,000 days goes in the flank, but Cyphus with the M249 gets the kill. It's a 2v3. Well, but Laura's holding the cross. Look on top of the angle, spots out 10,000 days. He's got to get the decryptor back in the hand, and the BZ will force him back, and that BZ should be curtains, and it is. The defense will take another round win, 2 as they get a flawless half.
Find themselves on a map point here, but the side swap is the all-important metric for this one going into it. Can they get the one singular round that they need to get the job done this time around? Looking at the lineups, Gibson, anything initially catches your eyes? Because I can tell you, Cyphus bringing out Collision once again. That shotgun's in play. We've seen time and time again what people can do, but this map's a little bit more expansive. I don't know if that shotgun's going to have full effect here.
Yeah, I think that if you play in the right positions, it's going to have effect. It's like any game of this sort. You want to play in positions where you're close range. The traps that you bring, the trip mines from Cyphus as well, are a great way of cutting off angles into the site for the attackers, which will need to be cleared. And you look at the attacking lineup, they have the nades to do it. Whip it. think about this game, as we said, speaking about having entry, having support players. You look at that attacking lineup, you've got Gaxi, you've got, you know, your drop shot, and you've got Marsalek, of course, playing on... You know, I'm going to make sure that I get the right name up, but I'm not going to
You'll
playing on
get
Apex.
There we go.
They are very entry-centric. I even argue that Fuzzface is a bit of a flex player. Laura is the hard support and has been all night, but look at how quickly they're pushing. This is a bit of a rush with it.
I like this. Again, they're moving to the map with a level of proficiency, using, again, that hammer on the side of Carnival just to get themselves straight access into sight or into these very key rooms. And knocking on the door already. Opening pick is going to arrive as Gaxi finds it. Fuzzface will get traded off. But on 10,000 days, not in a great position, but that BZ grenade's perfect. Sends one in retort to try and get control. And they double stack them out, finding themselves in somewhat of a stalemate. But Laura creeps around, has access down towards long, but not for long. Shut down with that P90, a single burst of 5-7 sends it down, and it's all down to 2 now to try and make this one work. They should get the decryptor down, and they've done so. So this is going to force a reaction. This is going to be a moment of chaos, but it's going to be a trade 1-for-1, leaving us now on 3 versus 1. It's going to be a scrappy fight by the windows. They should get it done. Down the bare knuckle brawling. Adriana gets it, but it's going to be limited HP, and they should be able to get this one. UTK pulls up the decryptor, and it will be a counter defuse. Defense find themselves at opening. One step closer to overtime, but Gibby, very, very narrow margins indeed.
That was close. They got the decryptor down. They found the opening. They used the smoke to cut off the defensive head holes, and they got it down. And almost a big play from Adriana to get that one over the line. And I've been impressed by Adriana today. I'm not going to lie. Some really impressive plays on the board. Gaxi as well. Look, people will look at this and say, Laura, 0-1, they'd like to see more kills. That's not Laura's job. Laura is playing a very support-centric role, playing with the medkits. 5 assists. Her job is to get kills at the very end of the round if everything else goes wrong. She's there to support her teammates, and I'd argue that she's doing it very well.
Gibson, the way I like to break things down is there's multiple ways to measure the impact of a player in a round, on a matchup like this one. You've got your kills, you got your objective play, you got your survivability, you got your trade. Those are all the metrics that you can play around this. A great measure of impact to see if you can have it. And while Laura's not been able to find a lot of kills in this sort of standing point, has been able to be very effective time and time again at having key utility. Think about it on the defense. Every time someone extends out wide and gets themselves an early fight, there's always a med pack there, always able to get that recovered. So while the kill count might not be there, influence arrives in many different ways in a matchup like this.
Yeah, the camera's getting a lot of information on the Zez in 10,000 days as Marsalek will look to capture the MP5 wielder around the corner, and Apex takes a bit of damage from the blue zone nade and will get caught out. Marsalek effectively clearing that corner. Now it's a 5v4. The rest of the attackers went directly towards site. Well, but that's... we spoke at this another game. That was a really effective roam clear from this side, and now they can focus directly on B, and Cyphus has got a tough job ahead. Crouched behind the wall, the nade will do a ton of damage, but if you clear Cyphus with a shotgun, which you've just done, you smoke off those head holes, which they're attempting to do. They can go for the execute. Marsalek steps in, he goes deep right onto the corner of the crypt, and this is going to go down.
Crypt goes down, and this is going to trigger a massive response from everybody, but it's going to be Mancourt flooding on in, finding huge success with that P90, and now you might have the best laid plans, but can you survive first contact? They're looking for this one, as you mentioned. Pros don't fake, the cover is good. Gibson, it looks like overtime is calling. Every single round needed. It's down to this single round shootout here for matchup number 5.
And what are the stakes, you might ask? A win for 10,000 days. They get the bye through to the semi-finals. Whereas if they lose, we're going to have to re-up this game straight away to find out who will get it, as these sides will be level on the standings. But with it, I'm going to say it. 10,000 days, their team did a great job of pulling it back, because you look at Laura's team. They really effectively roam cleared. They found the access to B. They got the decryptor down, but post-plant, it wasn't as clean as you'd like it to be. You got to give a lot of credit to the way 10,000 days and his side played that post-plant. They didn't rush. They realized once they got the kill onto Marsalek, and with the angles they had, you could stick that decrypt defuse.
And again, if you're joining us for the first time here, maybe I might decrypt some of our lingo for this one. When we say off on the roam, you might be able to deduce this, but you're off on a little bit of a wander away from the site, looking to have an incredible influence from your team as far away from the site as possible. Mercilic might be on that job this time around, out towards the extended premises of this, out by the extremities. No vision on them just yet. Tracers just now are missing, and that's going to be UTK finding the opening bit of damage. And that will just perhaps force them to fall back and try to lie this a little bit longer. Job of this extended presence is to just deny time. Every second you pull away, every second you take away, is one less to make those critical decisions in those dying embers of a round. But the defense, bar for the side of Gaxi, are realistically compressed out towards the crypts themselves, meaning that this entire presence on the northern side of the map from the offense, they can walk up and they can knock on the door of A or even B without much resistance at all.
Yeah, you're looking at this. It's the 3-2 split that we expected. The smoke trying to create a 1 versus 1 fight against Gaxi so that Fuzzface can't impact it, but Fuzzface is cut off as things stand. Now, Gaxi has a rotate to fall in a quick way back towards Cypher, but I've just spotted it. That single wall between B and the little warehouse chino, the little stock room that we see extended out to, is soft. And as it stands now, the rest of the attackers, they're getting very close to B. First bullets will be fired in anger, and it's Mankurt who takes the damage.
You can feel the tension of this one now over time's calling from this, and that's going to be the drone camera deployed. That's going to be the grenade perfect. Laura's going to be the first to fall from that one. A 30 in your kill feed. Fuzzface will get that trade, but advantage of the offense so far as they flood straight in towards B, and they can't even get a retake now. Gaxi alone against 4, shut down in seconds, and the offense breaks down the front line as 10,000 Days roster gets the job done here, and they lock this victory out 3-2.
Reverse sweep with it. They were 2-0 down. They pulled it back, and it was close because on both of their defensive rounds, the decryptor was planted as well. So that is a brilliant comeback victory for them. That ensures them a bye through to the semi-final, and I think based on the other results as well, that will be the case. But we have yapped enough. I think it's time to welcome back in the full desk. So we'll have Mark, Falix, myself, and you on the desk to finish this one out. But I'm going to say it, Mark, that was a fun but fast and furious night of action.
The night, 100% fast and furious. The mathematical equation, me and Felix gone, well, if they win, they don't win. Tiebreaker, no tiebreaker. Gargod's result came in. Maths all over the place. It's good to see, even from the beginning of this evening, though, Whippet, the teams I felt were a little bit uneven, uncertain. But these last game 4, game 5, I feel like we're a little bit more settled. These teams are really throwing some punches.
I like it. It's going to be that you learn a lot from every single matchup, and you're seeing things get picked up. Again, I especially like the information game coming out for these teams, getting much, much better. Their ability to play in 2s and 3s to enable those trades, and they're beginning to get the hang of things now in these best of ones. And of course, these are best of ones, a very dangerous format. You make a single mistake and it could be over and curtains early. As we look towards best of 3s we have in our semi-finals, for example, tomorrow, I think we're going to see a lot more from these teams. And again, they've had more experience now. Things are only going to get better from these rosters.
Well, what is good and what is better from the rosters is we got to literally turn the tides of production and go, hey guys, we don't want to make it as clean cut as 5 matches done, dust, and we'll see you in NA. We actually have to figure out, though, Gibson, who is first and who is second. With Sheeta bagging the win, though, on that last one. Actually, was it a 3-1? It was a 3-1 against Gargod. It does mean we've got 2 teams now which have got 4 wins and 1 loss here. Going into this matchup game, who do you think, Gibson, is going to take top spot at the end of day 1?
I know that we only seen one of Shilla's games, but I was really impressed by them. Now, 10,000 Days did a great job of bouncing back on their defensive rounds when the case went down, but I just felt that Shilla's team seemed more of an understanding of the flow of how the game works. They didn't let that decryptor go down as often, so I think that Shilla's team stand in a very good position. And again, it comes down to what I said. They understand the flow of the game. Like, every single character that's in this game that's playable has a very specific role. Some of them are initiators or entries, you know, depending on what game you play, the name will be different for what their role is, but their job is to be the first person in the building, the first contact, particularly on the attack, and then they're supported by all the rest of the team around them. I'll say I think that to give 10,000 Days credit on one thing, I think they're very good at using the entry players on roaming on the defense, and then on attack just getting into the building quickly.
Well, 10,000 Days, we know they can come back, Felix, though, can't they? If they're down numbers, it might be 10,000 Days not kind of the case to be able to get themselves into the victory spot. They actually dug really deep in that last round to come back, Felix. A lot of util, a lot of different characters. For this team, despite being pretty strong across the board, I feel like they're not 100% set on who they're playing yet, because we see a few tweaks over the board.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I also think it's really interesting to see both of these Turkish teams now, the very top of the leaderboard. That's something that we originally were really hyped for, right? Seeing both these teams fight off, and we might get to see them once more now in the final tiebreak for the first place. So, interestingly enough, we said going into this, right? The Turkish teams are not only favoured because obviously they speak the same language as do many other teams, but they're favoured because they're just mechanically gifted players. All of these have esports experience. I'm not surprised to see them at the very top, but seeing them at the very top in first and second place, right? And go for a tiebreak. That's something that's very surprising to me. And coming back to who do you, I think, has got the advantage? I think we saw Schiller, as talked about here on the desk as well, be the team that maybe relies a little bit more on mechanical skill as opposed to 10,000 Days in his team. I thought they were a little bit more strategic, sometimes a little bit less aggressive as well. So I think it's going to come down to which map gets played. And this is interesting that I'm talking about map picks now, or maps being played in a Stream Invitational for a game that isn't even released, right? It's not supposed to be that in depth yet, but apparently it is.
Features to come, shall we say. Anyway, that's enough for me and you, fellas. Let's hand it back over to these two amazing casters because it is a decided match. Match number 6 is coming up.
A bonus whip it, so we're having a little tiebreaker between 10,000 Days and Shill. And you know what? At a normal broadcast, you'd be like, another game? But I'm ready. These games are short, they're sweet, they're to the point, and this is it. It is 10,000 Days against Shilla. This is for first place on day 1.
This is for that seeding, and you know what, Gibson? A little bit of pride as well to be that number 1 team coming into this one. Any initial predictions, Gibson? Because I'm going to say this straight up. My prediction going into this one is 10,000 Days. I think we get the job done here.
You know what? Just because it's the first day on a new show, I'm going to go the other side. It's as simple as that.
You've got to create some drama. You've got to create something, Gibson. That's going to be against me for this one. As we move into our tiebreaker matchup here, a special 6 matchup for everybody watching, as Heritage Hospital Layout A, our battleground of choice for this one. We've seen these teams get better and better every single time we've seen them play. Can they get across the finish line here for 10,000 Days? Victor of this one takes that number 1 seed, moving into tomorrow's playoffs. All the pressure now. 3-2 split from the offensive lineup yet again. UTK and Zez all by themselves out towards the left-hand side of your screen. And the defense looks to be incredibly compressed into this middle quadrant of this building. Looking to play around this 4-stack of rooms all together. Looking to be reactive to this one. Rotations between A and B established. And I think they're going to slowly creep out for this one. They sense that pressure arriving. Some early damage done. Zez is going to be unkeen to take that engagement now. Reduce around half HP.
Yeah, and you look at the lineup as well. No hinds, so no cameras to get information. So really you're resorting to what can be gathered by Fnatic, or not, what did I just say Fnatic? That's my bad. You know, it's a new game. Come on. It's a new game. We're getting used to all the new characters that are inside the game. But the information that can be gathered. Now, Nade will be tossed with it, as no damage will really be dealt off the back of that one. But CC's going for a bit of a crouch walk. Zez with the MP5. Here's the footstep. Gets ready. Zez is quicker on the draw, and CC is forced to sprint back down the corridor. But you've got your back to Zez. You can't run away with your back to an attacker. And that'll be the opening kill in favor of 10,000 Days. Asni is under a lot of pressure, but 10,000 Days will get another one. Schiller with a shotgun, though, is going to get traded back. Asnia with the swing. And we've seen some Asnia magic tonight already, but we're not going to see it in the first round. The attackers take it, and that was dominant, but whip it was done with the barrel of the gun. Remember, the desk said one side a bit more mechanically, mechanically inclined. Well, 10,000 Days on his side, they stomped out the opposition that time.
They were very, very effective doing so, and the big thing about that, again, you can't let them in with your opening engagement. Now, it's unfortunate. Again, CC goes for that crouch walk, looks to get around out towards lobby, and just not quick enough on the draw, decides to retreat, but instead of an active retreat, walking backwards with your rifle primed and ready, decides to run and present an easy target, an easy shot in the back, and they will take that every single day of the week. Yes, Zez gets that one, and it's going to find ourselves now in a position where the offense win the opening round, and this is going to be a detrimental position to find yourself in. The defense has been primarily the primary side you want to get your victories on today so far. So, defensively now, from Sheila's team, you gotta feel they have to get this round, otherwise it might be a very, very difficult chance to get that #1 seed.
Yeah, the defense or the attacking lineup is identical once more from 10,000 Days and his side, and I think that I see no real changes on the defensive side either. The character pool is we're in a new game, so it's not the largest we'll see in the game, but we are seeing a preference towards certain lineups. UTK will get challenged by CC with the MK14, but forced back into cover. Now, last time CC got caught retreating away in a gunfight, I think this time CC needs to play a little bit closer to the rest of the team.
Mankurt took some early damage out towards lobby. Medkit's been dropped to try and get themselves somewhat recovered. Back to a little bit less than full HP, but still back in the fray. Lobby into lounge now. Gained control is there. They'll break themselves through this soft wall. They'll walk even deeper in towards MRI. Just looking best they can to try and find some access. Braun just hiding as Zez will find that opening. The offense seemingly on a roll as Eno falls on that one, but Baron's going to open up wide. Seth is first to fall, finds a second one. 10,000 Days next to go. Mankurt needs to find this trade. BZ will force him straight back to storage. Zez not quick on the draw this time. CC does escape, and the retreat is good. But the offense all forced to fight separate battles. No one close enough to work for a trade. And the defensive lines have made the wise decision to fall back. They might read a rotation. They might think Mankurt wants to go all the way back via lobby, flank up 90 via the vents. HE goes out looking for access in day. But for the offensive team for 10,000 Days, they're just knocking the door, and no one seems to answer. BZ buys them some space, and this might be access into A.
Yeah, CC playing inside of Tetris now as things stand, as he gets tossed his way as he's forced further and further back towards B. Now, Terskov is the defender that's anchoring the site. 30 seconds to go. Blue Zone Need will get the kill, which will put it down to a 2 versus 4. Now, this is the thing, though. UTK does not have the decryptor. He's got to go get it. Sheila is holding it. Now, Baron, I'd like to see Baron a little bit closer, but we'll speak on thing. And there you go. Defensive team victory. And that is 1 round apiece.
That is what the defense needed. Sheila so desperately need to get that back to level. Side swap arrives, and now we've seen a successful offensive take, so it's not past the point of impossibility. I was very impressed from 10,000 Days in the opening round, but a great adaptation was made. Sheila's side able to read into that one, and the big thing about that is it's all going to be down to that massive play outside of X-Ray Machine. Able to find a huge impact. I believe it was Baron, yes it was, finding 2. Unraveling that one, dropping the decryptor cold as well, out towards lobby. Forcing a complete redecision, a repivot from what the offense wants to do. And they were on the wrong side of the map to make that one work. So we'll move on towards that defense yet again. And we'll see Collision brought out, bring in those tripwire grenades, scattering them across the map to make every step a little bit more dangerous for the attacking side as they make their way in towards the building.
Yeah, and then you see Zez extending on out to treatment room as they look to just make the map as big as possible. Remember, as a defender, the map is usually said earlier, your canvas. Yes, you want to keep hold of the 2 crypts, but you want to make the map a difficult thing for the attackers to deal with. Now, you look at the lineup, it's that 3-2 split that we're used to seeing. Maybe it's a little bit more of a 2-2-1 whip, but as Baron peeks a little further away. But Terskov might run into UTK very quickly, and if you isolate this player, you could find yourself your first kill of the round.
UTK, as you mentioned, just so alone. Zez as well, no one in near proximity from that as well. Mission sensor goes out. And they're just taking their time here in the offense. This is the right decision. You don't want to rush too aggressively in this, but you need to have some level of information. I'm unsure where that's going to arrive from just yet, relying simply on their eyes, simply on trying to get that map control. CC might be able to walk around, but UTK concealed by that hard cover. This could be a game of waiting and patience at this stage. Baron creeps around. Zez tantalizingly close to him as well. A single room disconnects those 2 players. And Sheila holds that. Just waiting patiently for someone to cross through the opening made in towards the crypt of A. Mankurt got a great angle holding via 2 doorways. Very difficult to spot him out. And Zay's still on this crouch walk flank, but hasn't found success with it just yet.
Carnival opens up the wall though. UTK swings around with the M249 and Terscuff will catch Asnia with the friendly fire. It's all gone wrong for the attackers. One big swing from UTK and everything's gone wrong. 10,000 days dips into cover, but there's just 2 attackers left. The blue zone need Shilla. You gotta get out of there, buddy. That thing does a ton of damage. CC takes on the M249 and another player falls foul of the LMG. And Shilla, last player alive now, M4 in the hand, at the ready, but UTK, why not swing, get the kill, 4 on the round, and the defenders now move to map point.
All down to this single round. It is overtime or bust for the side of Shilla. And they've got to get things done on the less favourable based off percentage side. And the big thing, Gibson, I really like from this initially from me is look at the amount of deployable shields getting brought out from the defense. They want to make this a labyrinth. They want to have all the cover available. They want to make this an absolute nightmare to get any map control at all.
Yeah, and then Zez with the barbed wire as well, slowing down the attackers even more. It's as simple as this for Team Shilla. You gotta win this round just to force overtime. And how are you going to do it? Well, but I think Carnival will be one to watch with getting those direct access walls open. But being real, I'm surprised that we're not seeing fence from the attacking side, considering how good that M249 is. Yes, Shilla on drop shot is really effective with the M4. But I've not seen Shilla or any of the, use at any point the utility that Shilla brings other than nades. Those gases are so good at not just flank watch, but forcing defenders out of positions.
Creates that problem that you just don't like to solve if your cover's exposed by toxic fumes, and says, just taking his time. He likely got spotted there, has done. Able to just break back into cover, sprints down long, and retreats all the way back. And we'll hold up. Barbed wire to shore up this line as well. Concedes the initial control, and I think that's the right decision. Too many bodies stacked up, 4 all by themselves. Shilla pushing in alone. I think likely cautious this one, sends some shots down range. Just using walls, but nothing connects so far. And tantalizingly close to one. Cyphers with that shotgun finds some damage, traded off, but it's going to be an equal exchange between both these players. And that HE forces a very quick retreat.
Yeah, but look at that long angle that Cyphus has to worry about now. Now, he's lucky that none of the attackers come the other way, because you're just not winning that one from that sort of a range. Now, the wall's been opened up in towards the B crypt. Asnia will be the first to fall at the hands of the P90. Cyphus gets active, but the nade from CC is perfect. Baron peaks BZ will find 10,000 days as well. We said the attackers needed this round. Well, they've given themselves a chance. Fence with the M249, though, still alive, will be a problem for this side. Mankurt on the swing, though. Baron Peak with the MP5 with another. UTK not getting the shots through the window, but the BZ will find the kill, and it's on Baron Peak. No! CC might fall as well as he pushes directly into B. But they're not going to get it down. This is all down to a 1 versus 2. M249 weapon. Shilla is going to go for the first aid, not going to attempt to get the decryptor down just yet, forcing a 1 versus 1 between UTK and Tercuff for now.
This decryptor should go down. UTK has no idea he's going to be in full flank here. Shilla pulls off that and is going to be shut down. M4 locks it out, and Gibson, once again, we need every single possible round here as it comes down to this. A single round shoot out in overtime to decide who gets that number 1 seed. Side swap arrives, and Shilla's side have landed on the perhaps fortunate side of the defense, while offense have been reigning supreme here in Hospital A. Can we see that trend continue? UTK, an impressive individual performance so far as well. 524 damage, and the kills to mark up that line as well. All down to this. You got 20 seconds, get yourself ready on towards site. Gibson, one final round. Make the call. Who's getting number 1 seed?
Oh, I'm not going to lie, I flipped. I've changed my mind. I think 10,000 days team's going to take this win. But look at the lineup being brought by the side of Team Shilla. We were speaking about deployable shields and having 6 of them being a lot. They have brought 8, and then Asnia has got a couple of those impacts as well that, we've seen used to pretty good effect earlier on today. And the attackers, they're all going... Yeah, you know what I'm speaking about. But all the
10
attackers...
HEs to work with for the offensive lineup too, so you might have an abundance of deployable shields, but there's an abundance of explosive elements to clear that utility. Of course, it takes more than a single HE to get through that through. Carnival's Hammer will crack open an access straight towards Vending, out by 90. Lots of expansive positions, but you gotta feel the defensive side, and right now from Schiller, their options, their primary goals is sit still, wait, and bide their time. Zez makes an entryway out by Treatment. Might be able to creep all the way, so tantalizingly close towards site. Early damage done, and Schiller will take an absolute beating. Single point of HP, and I don't know this Fnatic case anywhere close to get that HP back.
Oh, they gotta fall back, and you gotta get closer to the teammate and get it off, as you don't want to be fighting as low HP as this. Wall open, direct access to A, but remember, once the wall opens, the defenders can fire through it. CC with the MK will get the kill on the 10,000 days. But oh my god, in the blink of an eye, we're seeing the kills straight back the other way. Zez and Mankurt will find 2. And that leaves it down to a 4 versus 3 whip. But Asnia inside the site. Blue zone nade forces Asnia to fall back down to just about 10 HP now as the attackers start putting pressure directly into A. Mankurt with a swing with help for the UTK is going to go to get the decryptor down. The shield now working in favor of Cyphus as CC tried to make a play, gets caught through the wall. It is all down to Asnia. Only 1 kill going into this round. Zez will get the kill though, and the attackers, 10,000 days, they get your bye. They're top of the pops on the Saturday, and they're going to be going into Sunday feeling good.
They get themselves that seed, they get a bye going into our semi-finals. Gibson, what a matchup that was, and somewhat flips the script to what we've seen traditionally. We see the offense be more dominant, more effective, and that was a fantastic performance indeed.
That was a great performance, and great performances need great breakdowns. Let's bring in Mark and Falix to talk about that last one, our final game of the night. Well, there we go. There they are.
I love Paul. Hold Gibson there for a little bit longer. God, talk about going to the wire. When we needed it to go all the way, it was always going to be those two teams, as they did match up really, really well. 10,000 days delivering the punch that was needed at the very, very end, Felix. We spoke off cam, though, and it's the first time we're really starting to see these teams kind of picking their roles. Hey, I am this character, and this is my job, though, Felix. And actually, they got themselves to a victory.
Yeah, I think we've seen that case, especially with the new characters, right? We saw Phosphorus a couple of times with Kayak. We're now seeing Fence, especially being picked on the defensive side. And it makes total sense, right? That's what some of these agents, some of these characters are supposed to do, right? You can see their abilities. They're supposed to be playing a specific kind of role. And I'm yet to see Fence really being used on the attacking side too much. That monitoring gadget is just a defensive kind of gadget. So I'm not expecting to change anytime soon, and it works as well. Not only works in terms of the gadgets, but also works in terms of the weapon choice. I think it's the second time in a row that we've seen Fence not only being picked, but having massive impact at that as well. And the same could be said about Drop Down. So Drop Down isn't just a thing where Michael picks it and suddenly it's amazing. It's actually a really well thought out attacking character, especially that gas grenade launcher. I think it's one of the few characters as well where you can make the argument it's probably best on both sides.
I was about to say exactly the same. For me, Drop Down is my favourite character because it could play both an aggressive attacking, and obviously you can launch the gas nades into the area. You can also use them as smoke cover. We saw those gas nades, Gibson, being used to stop people's line of sight into the site. Loads of smoke, but also on the defensive side, if you want to stop a corridor, maybe Drop Down is the character to pick.
Yeah, Drop Down is pretty good, and I think of those toxic canisters, I'd like to see... I think that with the fact that you can take on long-range engagements with the M4, it puts you in this weird limbo, right? Because yes, you're good at long range, but at the same time, you're very good at denying space. In other titles, we see smoke canisters like that being used in particular to stop cases from going down in late round situations. So I think we'll find out where Drop Shot lies, particularly in the defense, the more this game has time to breathe and grow. But I want to pick up on Fence. You spoke about Fence being used a lot. What I like about Fence, Felix, is Fence can play solo. Because of the fact that you have the M249, which means you don't need to reload for a long time, but your ability gives you the opportunity to work out where players are pushing from as well, you know, with footsteps. It means you can play your own swing. You can get the sensor of when this thing's there, and you can swing around the corner with the M249. I think Fence is a very good solo-minded operator.
Yeah, well, I think we're seeing that You go ahead, Mark, but let
Go
me
on,
just finish
Felix.
that
No,
thought
you
very
can go,
quickly. Yeah.
mate. No, you put your point in because I want to bring the leaderboard up. You do your point, and I'm going to go to the important stuff, all right?
Absolutely. Before we go to the leaderboard, let me just finish that thought. I thought exactly the same thing, actually. I think we saw that a couple of times as well, where he was the solo player as soon as contact was being made on the other side to kind of fall back, actually. Kind of opposing to what we would expect, right? Him to kind of get into the action, use his monitoring gadget to get as much information as possible. No, he was actually the one that covered the backside. So I think we not only saw your theory in the last game, we saw it in the game before as well. He was the solo player that backed himself up into the corner and made sure that he got as much information on the other side while the attacking happening on the other.
Well, it is an important point, and I want to come back to that point. But first, we do need to go to the leaderboard because before the leaderboard, we need to decide who's won, who didn't. 10,000 days, obviously, bagging the extra map. That's 5 wins, 1 loss. 1 loss underneath the belt. She'll be taking second place. So those two will be getting a straight up bye through to the semi-finals. But God, Laura and Pokemon will obviously be playing up against. And here is the matchup. God, Productions on it. Laura versus FitCop. And then obviously Gargod versus Poker. That is an interesting matchup. And I actually think, Whippet, they're quite level. I wouldn't want to hedge my bets just yet of who I think is going to go through. But I'm going to ask you. Let's have a first guess. Laura versus Fish. Who do you think is going to be going through on this one?
I think Laura's going to be able to get that one done. I think from this team, I just feel that they've been getting better and better. Not able just to close out matchups, but I think in that quarterfinal, they're my pick.
And let's go with the other side, though. Let's stay with you, Whip It again. Come on, Gargod or Poker. Who is going to be taking on 10,000 days?
I'm going to have to go with Gargod for this one. I think that's the easy pick going into this matchup. I think a fan favourite in our production room anyway. They're going to be my pick for that second quarterfinal.
I'm going to back Gargoyle. I'm going to back. Come on, lads. You got this. You've got this. And obviously, they will be best of 3 rounds, guys, though, which means they won't just get one and done like we've seen today. And I think that is a big impact, though, when we come back tomorrow, because the best of 3s, you might be able to go, you might go down a round. And actually, if you can figure out the game plan of the other team, you can do. And then we even up the ante, though, as we are going to go for a best of 5 for that grand final. So best of 3, though, for the semi-finals, best of 3 for the quarterfinals, but a best of 5. Before we close things off, though, Whippet, I do want to talk about attacking lineup because I want to come off back of what Felix was saying. There are a couple of characters for me which definitely favour in one camp. There's a few which go in both. Hines. If you get him with the BZ nades, which you were talking about, that is a force to be reckoned with.
It is an incredible combination, and it's the great way is it's risk mitigation. You don't have to walk a player in. You don't have to leave yourself exposed to clear that doorway. That opening in front of the doorway, it's called the funnel of death for a reason. You don't want to be anywhere near that, so you can launch that drone and have information and a BZ grenade to clear that from safety. It is a match made in heaven, and I guarantee when teams figure that one out, that extended clears are going to be able to move through the map with a level of safety we haven't seen yet today.
Well, a level of safety is going to be underway, and Gargod just messaged me telling him that he's going to be taking down that team. So Gargod, all the win, lad. Let's go. Right, that is us for us at the moment on the EMEA. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same places, because we're on multiple channels here, where we are going to be going into the semis and the quarterfinals and the grand finals. As I mentioned before, is a best of 3 and a best of 5. Us 4 need to take a quick break, though, because we are going to rewind, but we're going to send ourselves over to the other side of the pond, where we'll be coming back with the NA Invitational, though, for BLINDSPOT. So if you want to stay up late, especially in our region, make sure you tune back on the channels, because the NA are going to throw it down. That's it from us. We'll see you guys a little bit later on today, but before we go, get yourself on Steam, download that demo, but more importantly, get yourself added to the wish list. PUBG BLINDSPOT is the one to be. Such a unique game, super fun, and as Gibson said, he was intrigued. Now he's got his claws dug in. We're going to dig our claws in, and we'll see you guys a bit later on.